in just a matter of minutes. It's the Pontiac Excitement 400 from the 3/4 mile Richmond International Raceway. It's been 90 degrees here all weekend long, but a front has moved through, easing the temperature to 78, but there are thunderstorms in the general area. Hopefully they won't be a factor this evening. Welcome to Richmond, everybody. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and three-time Winston Cup champ Darrell Waltrip. Darrell, I can see your hands turning like they're on that steering wheel because we're going short track Saturday night.
Man, it's Saturday night and the lights are on and they're getting ready to let the rough side drag. But you know what? It's watching the Kentucky Derby. You know what they were talking about? Horsepower, track conditions, what position they were starting in. Larry, what are they talking about out here tonight at our racetrack?
Well, we're talking about track conditions. This track was reconfigured to the 3/4 mile in September of 1988. It has not seen any pavement since 1988. Same paved job that was done when it was originally reconfigured, but they put sealer on it every year. Sealer preserves the asphalt. Till they run some of that sealer off, it's going to be hard for these guys to do side-by-side racing. But when they do get that second groove in DW, then we're going to see a little
side bite.
We're going to see
some side bite, baby.
It was an action-filled night last night when Jimmy Spencer won the Busch Series race. Tonight we expect more of the same. Let's go trackside for opening ceremony.
By Eddie Robinson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the words we've been waiting for from the Grand Marshal of today's Pontiac Excitement 400, Mr. John F. Smith.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
The third and final short track shootout in the first half of this Winston Cup season. Saturday night under the lights. I guess that's how just about everybody in racing started their career, and it's great to get back to it.
Oh, man, it brings back so many great memories. Nashville, Huntsville, Birmingham, Hickory, Concord, you know, any racetrack, little short track in the country.
Let's have a look at the Castrol starting grid for tonight's race. Mark Martin has his 41st career pole, and Rusty Wallace is a 6-time Richmond winner on the front row.
Ricky Rudd will try to end an 84 race winless streak. Rudd does have one Richmond victory in his racing resume, but it took place all the way back in 1984 when Ronald Reagan was in the White House. He is 33 races ago here in Richmond that he last went to victory lane, so tonight Rudd looks at more than one drought.
And my man Jimmy Spencer, my pick for tonight, and I hope he doesn't forget what he did last night. Maybe he can do it again tonight, and there's Jeff. It is a 2-time winner here.
Row 4, Tony Stewart. He scored his first career win here in September of 1999.
Bobby Labonte looking for his first Richmond and his first 2000 win, and Ward Burton back after that hard crash.
Outside row 6, Michael Waltrip still looking for his first top 10 finish since winning the Daytona 500 3 months ago.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the defending champion of this race, and the guy is excitement. Last year in this event, he survived a pit road excursion with Tony Stewart to go on and win. Last week in California, he started 38th, finished 3rd. Tonight, he starts 14th.
Kyle Petty got his first career victory right here in Richmond in 1986.
And Jeff Burton, he needs to do what he did here in 1998. That's win this thing, and Brett Bodine right there with him.
2 years ago on this track, Dale Jarrett won the May race, grabbed the points lead, and never looked back. And some are comparing this to that championship season. Although his points lead is in jeopardy right now after a rough outing at Montana. Now, he never qualifies well here. True to form, he's starting 20th. Although the 88 team says they stumbled upon something during happy hour, and they don't plan on being in the back of the pack for long.
Rick Mast, the veteran from Virginia, he won a Busch Grand National race here in 1990.
Robert Presley, 10th last week in California, and Mike Skinner.
If a driver ever needed a great run, it's Kenny Wallace. He's been racing all season without a sponsor. In fact, they almost didn't come to Richmond. At the last second, they got an insurance company to step up, but it's only a one-race deal. Crew Chief Barry Dodson said tonight is a pivotal night. It's a make-or-break night. This could be their last race unless they have a great run.
Jason Leffler, the fastest rookie in the field, is 18th.
Terry Labonte, three-time Richmond winner, makes his 46th career start here.
And Kurt Busch, fine young driver, and Kevin Harvick there who won Atlanta.
Mike Wallace, 2 top 10s this year. Andy Houston makes his first Cup start at Richmond.
Jeremy Mayfield and the Bristol winner, the other short track, is right there beside him, Elliott Sadler.
Dave Blaney's run strong, has 2 top 10 finishes this season.
John Andretti, he'll be in a backup car after crashing in qualifying yesterday. Casey Atwood made his first career Winston Cup start here in September of last year.
And Todd Bodine, whose best finish this season is 5th at Las Vegas. 3 drivers had to go home. Virginian Hermie Sadler crashed on his second lap of qualifying. Buckshot Jones and Hut Strickland in Richmond native Junie Dunleavy's car did not make the field. 400 laps tonight. They'll travel 300 miles. Posted awards, including postseason awards, total $3.2 million. And the pit window?
Never say never, but normally it's not a strategy here. But again, y'all never say never after the last couple of weeks.
No, that's true. You know, these cars, there ain't been any cars on the racetrack all day today. So the car's getting ready to take the green flag here with one more lap to warm everything up. It'll be the first time they've been out today.
A firestorm of flash bulbs. What a great sight.
Oh, it is. It's just, there's nothing like short track Saturday night racing. It's the backbone of our sport. It's what makes our sport so popular.
There's probably not only not a driver down there, but probably not a crew member that had experience racing on the short tracks weekly on Saturday night.
Bumping and grinding, bumping and grinding.
We're going to have a few in-cars to show you tonight.
Man, make you dizzy, won't it?
8 of them. And look at that on the lower left of your screen, Kenny Wallace. We have a steering column cam, and we also have a foot cam on Kenny. And there he is, ready to go to work.
And I mean, it will be work here tonight.
Yeah, you work everything. You know, short track racing is very physical. This is a very demanding racetrack because of the D-shaped front straightaway here. Puts a lot of pressure on the driver's neck. Watch this. This track here, it used to be a half mile. That's when you used to go right down through there. That's pit road. Now, what they did is extended this baby out here like this and made it into a 3/4 mile, but it's got a lot of speed down this front straightaway.
Okay, DW, air pressure's down. Coming to the green.
Go, 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 go.
Mark Martin, the advantage off turn 2.
Man, Ricky Rudd tried to get under Rusty Wallace, but she broke loose just a little bit with him, and he couldn't quite make the pass.
And Rusty wanting to get to the bottom of that racetrack as he does right here in turn 1 and 2.
Well, that's what Ricky was trying to do, keep him up on that outside, and you knew you could get by him that way, but Rusty accelerated up off turn 4.
Steve Park outside of Spencer, looking for a spot in the low lane. He's not going to get one, and will stand silent on lap 3 to honor the memory of Dale Earnhardt. Drops to the bottom in turn 1 and takes it.
Ricky Rudd, that 28 Texaco Howland car, he wants to follow and take the position away from Mark Martin. Martin's got to get back in line.
Yeah, he lost momentum off turn 2, and it's going to open the door for a whole bunch of people to go by him.
In the first 7 races this year, Rusty Wallace didn't lead a lap, but in the last 4, he's led them all and has a win.
Guys are trying to make that outside. Park is stuck up on the outside, and guys are going to work that outside line as quickly as they can. You got to be able to get out there and run if you're going to pass anybody.
And I just believe within a few hundred laps, we'll see that outside line come in. We'll see some side-by-side.
Always do. It just takes a little time. That Sealer's got a 250 laps last night on it. After about 200 laps tonight, and down low will be worn off, and they'll be looking.
Trouble down the front straightaway. Brett Bodine spins. There's more contact.
Caution is out.
Man,
Brett Bodine got together, I believe, with Kyle Petty.
I can tell you one thing, everybody did a miraculous job of working their way through that mess.
And they'll have to sort out the scoring on the run to the caution flag here.
John Andretti just right here. John Andretti just ran up there and knocked the fire out of Ron Hornaday. So Ron Hornaday had something to do with that little, see him right here. John is not happy with Hornaday. He just come around there and knocked the fire out of him.
Andretti's got it on both sides of the nose, and that is a backup car. Andretti destroyed his primary car in qualifying. Oof.
Yeah, they're going to have to get pit road. They've got a left front tire rubbing. A lot of damage to that front end.
77's on pit road.
Let's see what happened as they stacked up heading for turn 1. That's Bodine around after contact with Kyle. Oof.
Kyle Petty in the 45 car.
He spun right down into Presley.
Forced Presley into that inside retaining wall on the inside going into turn 1.
There's Hornaday by himself at that point.
If you watch as you go down into turn 1, the 14 car runs in the back of John Andretti going into turn 1 right there.
Oh, there it is.
In the wall.
Yep.
That's what all it was about, Mike.
From Michael Waltrip in the Napa cam.
Looks like Kyle may have misjudged Brett Bodine and clipped him.
From Kenny Wallace.
Look at Mike Skinner, the 31 car, locking those brakes up. He barely caught the inside wall with his car.
And Rick Mass just snuck through. Kyle's car none the worse for wear, but his teammate John Andretti is going to spend a while on pit road. You're watching NASCAR on FX. To Richmond, we've just restarted 1 lap ago, and Rusty Wallace takes off with the lead because second place Ricky Rudd had to busy himself with Jimmy Spencer, and Spencer got passed going into turn 3 for second place.
Well, we watched Spencer last night in his Busch car, and he dominated that Busch race, and I believe he's got the same kind of hot rod tonight.
Ward Burton back with Johnny Benson at 11th place. Sterling Marlin coming up inside of Burton.
I talked to Tommy Baldwin last night and his crew chief, Ward's crew chief, and they got a good qualifying run in, but they was not very pleased with their race car in happy hour in the final practice yesterday. He just continues to lose position.
No,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes by him there in the 8 car.
And a lot of that I do as a driver, got to wonder just how comfortable he is in that race car. When you're injured, it's such a distraction, particularly on a track like this. It's so physically demanding.
And Darrell, you've been on that end. I've been on that pit box on the other end where you've got an injured driver in that race car, and you spend your whole weekend just trying to get him comfortable. And you keep watching that scoreboard, hoping the laps is going to wind down, and certainly not another accident happens.
Wallace with about a half-second lead. Brett Bodine's car has gone behind the wall for repairs. Jeannie?
Oh, and Mike, they're going to be back here for a while. A lot of damage, especially to the rear end. They have to replace the sway bar, and they're just trying to find where other damage might be. The front fender obviously bent in. They will have to take the hood off. As you can see, they're trying to see what else is going on there. The crew chief, Mike Hellman, says, we got a lot of work to do. We're going to be working here for a stretch to try to get them back out there, but they think they can.
Overflow on Jerry Nadeau. This is also a backup car as he had a crash in practice and then spun in qualifying.
Yeah, he's coming to pit road, dude. He's got a big problem. There's enough water there that I would be a little concerned about that, but of course water evaporates very quickly on this hot track with the cars running over, so it shouldn't cause anybody a major problem.
And Darrell, he don't look like he has any front end damage that would have caused blockage on the radiator. This early in the race, he must have a cracked cylinder head or something.
I think that's mechanical.
Spencer not allowing Wallace to increase that lead. It's pretty stable, but
no, he's
getting
closing
away.
down. Spencer's closing down on him some.
2 of them are getting away from Ricky Rudd and the rest of the pack.
Jimmy Spencer last night, that Busch Grand National race, just wore the field out. I talked to Donnie Wingo, used a lot of the setup. He said, Larry, these 2 race cars, the Winston Cup car here tonight, the car from last night that Jimmy won with, set up very similar. And we're seeing that more and more, Darrell, especially with the horsepower being real close to the same.
Man, look at that brake rotor. That's about 1,300 degrees. Now, if we were running in the day, this is another one of those things we couldn't see if we were running in the day, but here at night, you can see that so clearly.
It glows all the way around the racetrack, but see how the glow goes down here on the straightaway? Now watch as he goes off into turn 1. Boy, it becomes real bright.
And those things will take that. They'll withstand that kind of heat. The pads are so hard, so big, that it really heats up that rotor.
Calling the 12 on the inside, Jeremy Mayfield has really moved up from his 35th starting spot. Mayfield now challenging at 25th, so that's a 10 gain for Jeremy.
Most drivers will brake with their left foot, but Junior Johnson always made me brake with my right foot on the short track so that I keep my foot off of that brake pedal, have it on the gas and the brake, but don't have it on both at the same time.
Here comes Kurt Busch to the inside of Wallace.
Matter of fact, Junior put a piece of plywood between my pedals one time at Martinsville. I said, I can't drive without my left foot. Showed up the next day, had a piece of plywood between the two pedals to drive that.
Dropping back is Kevin LePage in the Morgan LeCour Chevy number 4. And there was contact between Wallace and Busch.
That's typical short track contact.
Yeah, why should I sound surprised?
Yeah, that's going to happen a lot. That's kind of how you let the guy that in front of you know that I want by.
Here's another look at it.
Coming off the corner, he gets a left wheel down on the apron, which will shove the car up just a little bit. No harm, no foul. Good short track racing. Both guys continue on.
Teams, they'll make those wheel openings of sheet metal around the tires just as big as possible, for instance, just like that. That's the whole deal. Don't let the fender or quarter panels get in and start rubbing the tires.
And one thing you'll notice, Mike, and Larry knows this, the better handling cars, the cars that run up near the front, you won't see their brake rotors glowing.
They're not
good handling
near
cars.
as much brake getting in the corner or in the center of the corner trying to make that car turn.
Cars that aren't handling good will usually be the cars with the brakes all glowing on them.
Things have stabilized among the front two. Wallace and Spencer still 0.6 of a second apart. But Ricky Rudd in third, now 2 seconds back. Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Steve Park. Jerry Nadeau joins Brett Bodine behind the wall. Jeannie?
Well, Mike, it has been hot in Richmond this weekend, but this is ridiculous. The water temperature shot up to 300 degrees when they realized the water pump belt was broken. So that's what they're trying to fix. As a result, he had no power steering. So Jerry Nadeau still sitting in his car behind the wheel. The net is up. Every intention of getting this changed and getting back out to work. Steve?
Ricky Rudd, his car is handling well going into the corners, but he is tight from the center off. Can't get it to turn once he gets in the middle of the corner.
That's kind of typical Richmond's. That's what you fight all night long here. You'll be a little loose in, a little tight off, won't cut through the center. But now is when the driver needs to be telling the crew chief all these things so that you can start thinking about what to do to the car when the car comes in the pit. And you got to be able to adjust this car all night long.
How about Ricky Craven? Started 13th. He's up fighting Bill Elliott for 8th place.
And he's doing it without his regular crew chief, Mike Beam. Mike Beam fined $5,000 on a 2-race suspension here this week at Richmond and in 2 weeks at the Winston at Lowe's Motor Speedway because of a seat belt that didn't have the date. The date had been cut off, so he's actually working without his crew chief. Roy McCall, who actually was Scott Pruitt's crew chief in this race car last year, he's the acting crew chief.
Mike, one of the hardest things to do is drive the car in these close quarters like this with cars all around you, have a good track presence, and be able to communicate to your crew what the car is doing. Because most of the time you just want to scream at everybody and say, leave me alone. I'm doing all I can do.
As Rusty Wallace comes to the line, he has now led a total of 2,500 laps in Richmond. 31 complete. Wallace still out front of Jimmy Spencer by about 0.6 of a second. In Jimmy Spencer's pit. That's the gasculator or gonculator or something program there. It figures it out.
It does.
It keeps up with the amount of laps on their tires, how many caution laps they run, green flag runs. No Spencer in that 26 car. Them old rotors starting to glow on his car, DW.
Well, he was up there after. He wants to get around Rusty. That's what he'd like. He'd like to be leading this race. He may be overdriving her just a tad right now.
Jeff Gordon has gotten past Tony Stewart. That's for 5th place. Bill Elliott continues to drop a couple of spots here as Bobby Labonte moves up. That wasn't there a horse numbered 18 did pretty well today?
Yeah, he did. He won the Kentucky Derby. I wish I knew how to say his name, but number 18 did win today.
Bobby Labonte started 9th. Another new race car for Bobby this week. They had a brand new one at Fontana last week. Brought another one here this week at Richmond.
Well, the way their old ones were doing, maybe there's a good reason.
Time to bring some new ones out.
Let's get an update on the routes number 11. Here's Jeannie.
Yeah, Brett Bodine not about to throw in the towel just yet, but he will drop the net and talk with us. Brett, what happened?
Well, we had got down to the inside lane and we'd made a move underneath Kyle Petty, and the car was working really good on the bottom. And I think what happened was I got by him on the front straightaway, but he was trying to get back in behind me to protect his position. I think he just must have misjudged it and caught me in the right rear, and it turned me towards the outside wall, and I kept it off the wall, but unfortunately I was in the middle of the racetrack, and you know, the rest of the guys just had nowhere to go. Just a real shame. We had such a good car all weekend here, and felt like we were going to have a good run here tonight, but you know, we'll just get this Rouse Red Cell Taurus ready for Charlotte. Hopefully have a good run down there.
Work cut out for them, guys. They had problems with the rear suspension, and then they took off the hood and got underneath that left front tire. They have more trouble. This will take some time, Mike Joy.
But they'll try to get Bodine back out there. That Labonte and Elliott battle has finally been decided in favor of Labonte, but they went 5 laps side by side.
Well, if you get up on the outside and if the guy on the inside will just cut you a little bit of slack, you can get on by. And that's really what you need to do this early in the race. Don't need to race right now, each other side by side. Let the guy go and follow him, and maybe you can see what he's doing. It'll help both of you.
Wallace has picked up another 1/10 of a second on Jimmy Spencer. It's almost a full second now from first to second place.
Yeah, Jimmy's fallen off the pace of Rusty just a teeny bit. I think Jimmy realized he may have been driving his car a little too hard. Larry, we noticed a little glow in his front rotors, and he looks a little loose off turn 4 now.
There's John Andretti to the inside, and more smoke from the left front of his car. And there's Rusty. There's our leader.
Typical short track racing. We've been on a pretty good long green run here, and he's going to have all this lap traffic to contend with here in just a few short laps.
And of course, like always, he's putting a bunch of people laps down. You get somebody really fast up near the front, and man, when you restart like these guys did at the rear of the field, they're in jeopardy of going the lap down real early in this race.
There's smoke from Jeremy Mayfield, and he is getting the black flag from NASCAR for that.
So that's unfortunate because he was running really well. He moved up a lot.
It started 35th and moved up to 23rd. So he's going around Mike Skinner, the 31 car underneath him, but he's going to have to come to pit road.
Now, Larry, what
is out?
When they do that to you, what are you telling the inspector down there?
I'm down there pleading every case I can plead. I'm hoping the whole time I'm talking to him, discussing it with him, that a caution may come out.
And how about that rubber on the head? It's just rubber on the head, right?
That's the wife and kid doing.
Be careful, because he is putting something down up there.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon has caught Jimmy Spencer. Now Spencer has backed up to 4th place. Wallace, your leader, Rudd in 2nd, Martin 3rd.
Yeah, Jimmy's car's gotten a little loose, and what he's having to do now is kind of pedal that baby just a tad and caused him to back up some.
Jeremy Mayfield in the 12 car, he did bring it to pit road, and they're going to look underneath, and they're going to change tires while they're there, try to figure out what's leaking on that car.
But you know, that's something.
Excuse me, sparks from underneath the right rear of Spencer's car.
Saw a little bit of smoke too, I believe.
He's got some kind of problem. He's gotten real loose and he's falling back. I'm not sure exactly what his problem is.
I saw it going into the corner. Let's see. Not that time. Maybe going into turn 1 here.
85.
Just a little bit.
Sparks, yeah.
Well, he could be having, he could have a soft right rear. Could be his problem. See how loose he is off the corner?
Can't touch that throttle right now.
So he may have to make an unscheduled stop here before long.
Rusty Wallace dealing with race traffic. Stacy Compton right there, and there's Ricky Rudd, who is 1 second back of the Miller Lite number 2.
See how Compton can roll in on the outside of Rusty? Rusty's got to go a little slower through the center of the corner, which will allow the outside car to catch right up along the side of him, but he can accelerate off the corner with it.
And the further we go into the night, that outside groove, it'll get better and better. They'll be able to carry more and more momentum.
And you'll finally just sail right by that guy and take his line away coming off the corner.
Bright lights, full house, and 52 laps complete in the Pontiac Excitement 400. 58 laps complete at Richmond. Rusty Wallace leads Ricky Rudd by 1 second. Mark Martin's another half second back. back in the pits. Jeremy Mayfield. Car continuing to smoke, and NASCAR wants that repaired if they're going to let him back out on the racetrack.
NASCAR official right there. He's looking underneath there. They're not going to let him go back out till they prove to him what's leaking.
They got a little oil leak under there somewhere, and they got to find it. And of course, they're working in the dark. You know, at night it's a little harder to find than it would be in the daytime.
There's your leader, Wallace, moving up on Joe Nemechek, who started deep in the field.
Rusty's rotors are glowing a little bit that time through there too.
Well, he's been working his traffic now, having to work everything, especially those brakes a little harder.
And folks, we don't want to wear you out about the brake rotors, but there's so many that indicate so many things to us. How the car is handling, how the driver is performing in the car, so many things.
Who has gained the most spots in the first 50 laps? Andy Houston started 34th in his first Winston Cup appearance here. He's gained 19 positions. Kevin Harvick and Casey Atwood have also been big movers.
I'm surprised to see that 29 car somewhere near the front for this Nitro with. I always think about Dale here. He'd always qualify really badly, but man, he would be something to deal with in the race. Finished second here to Jeff Gordon.
Now, Presley, you see the damage from that lap 6 incident with Brett Bodine and Kyle Petty. He is a lap down in the 77. Rusty Wallace closing up. Now, Jimmy Spencer ran at the front, but he's fallen back to 6th place. Dick Berggren's in his pit.
Well, we talked about how important brakes are here at Richmond and how much the drivers use them. Brakes are Jimmy Spencer's problems. He is dropping back a little bit, giving those brakes a chance to cool off before he makes another run at it. To Matt.
Following the final practice session where pole sitter Mark Martin was second quick, he wanted to wait until after the Busch Series race on Friday night to make one final change, whether to make a sway bar adjustment change, and they did. They went to a smaller bar. Right now, though, Mark is complaining about his car being very, very tight. They're talking about several different scenarios to make on this car, changes to make on their pit stop. Right now, he's talking about air pressure in the right rear.
Martin led the first 3 laps. He's the only driver to lead every race this season.
And Darrell, I got to believe what Jimmy Finney was anticipating there is the racetrack was going to be tighter. So they went to that smaller front anti-roll bar in the front. That will help the car turn through the middle. Now, one thing, though, I was always a little fearful about a smaller sway bar here is it would make the car looser off the corner.
Yeah. Did you see that 31 car just about got a little loose off the corner, I can tell you that. Got a little help, though.
Well, all these fellas are scrambling because Rusty Wallace is coming right behind him.
Yeah, and Terry Labonte is in a hurry, and he says, excuse me, pardon me, sir, but I got to get going.
Well, you see Rusty Wallace in the 2 car, the blue car there beside Hornaday. He's coming. Terry Labonte's got to go. All these guys has got to go.
Trying to keep from getting a lap down as Wallace moves underneath Jason Leffler. And that's allowed Ricky Rudd to close right in on the back bumper of the leader.
Mark Martin right there behind Ricky, so we got a good race here for the first 2 or 3 spots.
This is 28th, 29th, 30th position. He's trying to put a lap down here, and we're just at lap 67.
That happens so many times here. And again, you know, these guys restarted over on the back straightaway when they had the single file restart early in the race. It puts them in jeopardy going a lap down real early.
That's right. When they restarted after the lap 6 crash, the last car in line was already 11 seconds behind the leader.
Which is over a half a lap.
Right.
They're going around here in about 22, 23 seconds. That's a half a lap when the green flag came out.
Brett Bodine, battered, but back in the race.
Old Ralph turned into rough.
Mike Wallace just ahead of his older brother Rusty, who is the race leader. And number 2, Ricky Rudd looking on the outside.
And Ricky's trying to get that right through the center of the corner. If you protect that bottom, you got to slow down and stay on the bottom. And sometimes you can roll through the center real free up high and go right by a guy.
This is Rudd's home racetrack. He's always done well here, whether this was a half or a 3/4 mile, but he's gone 16 races here now without leading. Finished 4th here last year.
But this race car they brought here, this is a car that's been so good to this race team. They've done everything with it, but win a race. They was leading Phoenix. They was leading Homestead last year. Both races a lap car got them.
There he is just in front of Mark Martin, and you see how Martin's progression has been coming back up toward the front.
And he won a race here with his eyes taped open. Ricky Rudd did.
1984.
Had a serious crash
at Daytona in the Busch Clash. finished 7th a week later in the 500, and then came here to Richmond 1 week later and won in one of the gutsiest couple of week comebacks in the history of any sport. You got it. 72 laps complete. And Richmond, Rusty Wallace leads by now just a quarter of a second.
FX welcomes you back. Saturday night racing next Saturday. It's in the afternoon. The Busch Series on FX, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, as we enjoy the Pontiac Excitement 400 this evening from Richmond, Virginia. And since lap 4, Rusty Wallace, the king of the short track, has led this race, and with 6 wins here, Jeff, the most among active drivers.
Well, as we were talking about earlier this season, you can't allow Robert Pemberton and this group get some momentum going their way. They won a race last week. They come to another racetrack they're very strong on, and Rusty's out front. He loves this racetrack. He loves racing at night. Got to watch out, guys. He couldn't run away with this thing and really mess the show up.
Now, we've only gone to 80 laps here with just the 1 caution. Is that a little bit surprising to you?
No, not unusual here at Richmond. A lot of times the guys will get started, things get kind of strung out. But as these leaders start catching up with the back markers, these guys will start getting back up on the wheel, and that's when they're going to start beating and banging, and you got to watch out for possible wrecks. Then guys get to come in, work on their cars, and the race has a tendency to have like a midpoint change. And all of a sudden you got 5 or 6 cars per fight for the lead, and it can get very interesting and very good here at Richmond. I guarantee you it's going to be wonderful before the end of the race.
And it's all Ford. Rusty Wallace followed by Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin at this point. Mike?
Thanks, Chris. Rusty Wallace, your leader. Ricky Rudd, you see 0.6 of a second back from our Fox tracks. Jeremy Mayfield has gone to the garage, and Mike Skinner has made a pit stop. Only 78 laps into this green flag run, Larry.
But he'd win a lap down. Now, that's a gamble on a short track, because that caution, it could come out any second. But I think they felt like their car was so bad, already had win a lap down. Let's get some fresh tires. We'll make up some ground. Maybe this thing will cycle through, and we'll make up some of this ground that we lost.
Yeah, he's just gambling that he can get in and do what he has to do, and then maybe a caution will fall just right for him to get back in the race. But otherwise, he's in trouble.
The 4th place car is Tony Stewart. He is 2.9 seconds off the lead. Matt?
Mike, Tony Stewart has climbed 3 positions to 4th. Right now he's complaining about he needs to add forward bite when they pit. That's his main concern at the moment. Right now he's just being very patient, knowing we've got over 300 laps still left to run in this 400 lap event.
You know, lack of forward bite, a lot of times that's a result of the car turning really good through the middle, but when he puts his foot on the throttle to come off the corner, the rear tires are not hooking up to the racetrack. He needs them to hook up better when he nails that throttle.
Yeah, and Spencer's in the pit here, and he's coming a little early, too. I think he's got a problem.
Flat tire, we're told. Dick Bergman?
You got it, Mike. It is a flat front tire. Jimmy Spencer just burst onto the radio and said flat left front, and all of his crew jumped to the wall. They are ready to service that race car as soon as it gets here. Terry Spalding's going to change the fronts. Bill Kerwood from Pennsylvania, 6 years on this crew. He's doing the rear tires. Wayne Jenks, long time the jack man with his team. He's running around the car right now to pick up the left side. It's a 4-tire change under green while everybody is out here racing. Spencer losing laps. 4-tire change.
Out 17.4 seconds. Good stop, but it's going to cost him on this racetrack at least a lap, maybe 2 by the time he gets back up to speed.
Yeah, and you just sit there and hope as a team and a driver that the caution will not come out now.
Kenny Schrader has stopped, and so has Rick Mast. Rusty Wallace mowing him down. Ricky Rudd staying within 0.8 of a second. Another young gun that's been on the move is Casey Atwood. He's up to 17th after starting in the next to last row.
And Mike, it's things like flat tires and accidents and things that they're unpredictable. You never know when you're going to get bitten by something like that. And you can have an absolutely great car and be taken right out of the race because of something like a flat tire.
One addition that was made to Casey Atwood's team just this past week, Sammy Johns, who was the crew chief for Kenny Schrader last year and the beginning of this year, been walking around the garage area several weeks. They decided to part company with the 36 team a few weeks ago. They hired him this week. It's kind of like a lead mechanic.
Yeah, when there's good people walking around, people with experience, you got to hire them and put them work somewhere. They can't stay unemployed very long.
Well, one thing I was impressed with Sammy, he stayed at the racetrack because it's the old cliche, out of sight, out of mind.
Rusty Wallace, as we watch from Bobby Hamilton, continuing to
Still hanging on your bumper, left car.
Casey's got some experience here. He ran the Winston Cup race here last fall, and also he's run the Busch car here a number of times, so it's a good track for him.
We just crossed lap 91, and what we'll see these leaders do is you break its race down. You run about 110 to 115 laps on tires and fuel, but you kind of like to see it broke down to the 100, 100, 100, 100, 4 100-lap runs. But once one of those leaders commits to pit road, the rest of the leaders will be right with him just because of not giving up a lot of time.
I like to run the race backwards. I like to run the race backwards in my mind as a driver and try to figure out where I'm going to be at the end of the day. So I can tell you as my crew chief, the car is doing this and the track is changing this way and this is what's going on. So every time I come in, you can make changes to my car that's going to make me better and better and better before the night's over with.
Watching Matt Kenseth move up. He moves away from Kyle Petty and closes up on Ricky Craven, who is in 14th place.
Well, these guys have been out there getting 94 laps, and tires, that's the longest run anybody's had since we've been here all weekend, obviously.
Boy, they almost stacked right up there, Darrell, coming out of turn 2. Craven didn't get a good run off the corner underneath Stacy Compton, and that whole bunch there almost accordioned right together.
Yeah, well, you take tire wear, and then the track changes that the track's going to go through with the suit and everything. These cars have been out there long enough now that, the cars are going to start getting a little harder to drive.
Mike Skinner has easily caught that pack. Now he has already been on pit road and gotten fresh tires in his Lowe's number 31.
Oh, tires. They make you Superman.
For a while.
That's right.
Kenseth takes Craven. That's for 14th place.
Got Ward Burton slipping into the pits over here real slow. I'm not sure if he's got a problem or not.
Now here's Spencer.
And that's exactly what Spencer wants to do, is get back in front of the leader, Rusty Wallace, in case a caution should come out. Going to put him back in the race.
Yeah, he was 2 laps down. He just made one of those laps back up.
But when Rusty pits, then he should be back, pretty much in sync. And I got to believe the guys will be pitting here before too long, probably in about the next 10 or 12 laps. Wouldn't you think, Larry?
Yeah, again, I'm going to look at that 100-lap mark, which is only 3 or 4 laps away, and I'm going to say they're going to be on pit road making those adjustments and getting 4 fresh Goodyear tires.
Rusty Wallace leads by 0.8 of a second. Good bit of slipping and sliding and a little slam banging here at Richmond on short track Saturday night. It's the Pontiac Excitement 400, 98 laps complete here on FX. Glad to have you with us on FX for the Pontiac Excitement 400. Quarter distance complete, 104 of 400 laps. A lot of green flag pit stops. Andy Houston's been in, Ricky Craven, Johnny Benson coming in, Elliott Sadler going out. All these green flag pit stops as we've had only 1 caution this evening, and that way back on lap 6 when Kyle Petty and Brett Bodine got together. Only 1 car out of the race, Jeremy Mayfield.
And now when you're making these stops is when you just sit there and hold your breath and hope everybody cycles through, because as much as some of these guys would like to see a caution, you sure don't want to have one when you've been in the pits.
Well, the former Busch Series winner, Richmond, Steve Park, comes into his pit stalls. Kevin Bolomanian holds out the pitboard sign. Right now, Park was complaining his car was tight in the middle of the corner, but loose off, so they went down in air pressure in the left rear tire. As Kelly Kells and Mikey Atwell come around to the left side of the car, Walt Smith gets that jack up, gets the car up in the air, and Park is down and away. 17.4 seconds.
Bill Elliott making a stop, and these are scheduled green flag pit stops.
And guess who hasn't made one yet? The leader. He's still out there circulating around, and buddy, you can get people in trouble if a caution should fly right now.
Tony Stewart coming back on the racetrack. Wallace, Rudd, and Martin and Gordon have not stopped, nor have Sterling Marlin, Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Jeff Burton, Earnhardt Jr., and Kenseth.
Here come a bunch of the guys in now. There's Gordon, Labonte.
Rusty Wallace, he has almost a 1.5 second lead. He can kind of let the other second, third, fourth place car make that commitment to pit road before he has to.
But I've been watching his lap times, Larry, and he's been running the same lap time. He hadn't slowed down, so it's not like he needs to pit other than for fuel.
Matt?
Jeff Gordon already in for service. You can see the wedge wrench in the back window, steeple apart. Letarte makes the turn. They got the orange wedge wrench, which in times of pit stops, so the guy does not have to think. Orange means overall trouble on the left rear. A slow stop for Jeff Gordon. He was making complaints about his car being loose off the turns to Steve Burns.
Rusty Wallace coming down pit road, Matt. They're going to change 4 tires. Billy Wilburn on the front tires. He also drives wing sprint cars. Right side tires going on. A chassis adjustment. 1 round to the left rear. Rusty Wallace. Rob Jones, the jackman, slams the jack onto the left side of the car. Wilburn on the front tires. Good stop for Rusty Wallace. Let's go to Judy Zalasko.
The 88 car of Dale Jarrett complaining that he was a little tight, guys, but they decided to not make the track car adjustment. 4 tires, fuel, and he's on his way. Steve Burns.
Ricky Rudd on pit road. 4 tires for Ricky. They're not going to make any chassis adjustment to that 28. The car had been tight early, but he said the car was coming back towards him, though he liked it. Left side tires going in. Norman Koshinidze, the gas man. Let's go to Matt.
Mark Martin already in here in this last pit stall near turn 1. Left side tires going on. He was complaining about his car being very, very tight. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right front, right rear, and left rear.
This should put Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the lead, but now he makes his appearance on pit road.
But he did get credit for leading 1 lap.
So did Ricky Rudd.
Well, theoretically, when it all cycles back around, Rusty Wallace will still be leading the race because he had a great pit stop and he came in with a comfortable lead. So should still be leading the race when everybody gets finished.
But Darrell, I look down there and watch these pit stop times. Everybody's having great pit stops.
Man, did you see that one was 13.3 on Rudd?
16.3 on Dale Earnhardt Jr. These guys are changing 4 tires, dumping 22 gallons of gas, 16 seconds and quicker.
The jackman on that 28 car was incredible. He jacked the car up, caught a tire, carried a tire, let the car down. I mean, he was everywhere.
And we've cycled through our pit stops for Rusty Wallace now here on lap 113. He is back leading the race.
113 laps complete. Wallace the leader. Tony Stewart has moved to second. He is 1.1 seconds behind Wallace. Ricky Rudd is now third. Jimmy Spencer, Mark Martin, Johnny Benson, Jeff Gordon, and Bobby Labonte. Mike Wallace will get a lap back from his brother, and so will Ron Hornaday and Casey Atwood. Getting a lap back from the leader. And a strong run by Ricky Craven. Will go for naught.
Well, these guys are starting to move up the racetrack, trying to get that second groove to work for them. And if you tippy-toe over that line, buddy, the car will come around with you in a heartbeat.
Ricky a lot of damage around that race car.
Yeah, he's moving around in there trying to get things unhooked. And let's watch Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s in-car camera to see what happened to Craven.
Following him down in there, and you see
might have just slid away.
It looked like the guy was getting loose as he went down into the corner.
I couldn't tell how close Dale Jr.'s bumper was to his rear bumper is the problem. Definitely got loose getting in the corner. The grill's pushed in. See the grill right there? See how his grill's pushed in? I think he may have made a tad of contact with him getting in there.
Jimmy Spencer's in, Dick.
Yeah, they're still concerned about brakes, Mike. That really has been their problem all night long. Jimmy Spencer's just come on the radio and told his crew basically the difference between last night and tonight is he has got to use a whole lot more brake getting into the corners. Last night he was virtually invincible. Almost nobody could touch him. Tonight he runs a while, brakes heat up, he's back in the pits again. That tire, by the way, importantly, was not melted. That tire had a cut in it, so it wasn't that he had so much brake temperature it melted the right front tire down.
Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. also stopped, as did Casey Atwood. Very few lead lap cars coming in because they just made green flag
Exactly.
stops.
Had about 10 laps or even less on their tires. Stay out there for those track positions because we're still sitting here with about 20-something cars on the lead lap.
And there's Ricky Craven walking away okay. We'll be right back.
It all seems so easy here. So easy. But it happens so fast. Oh, here we go. Whoa, don't look back. Man.
Rusty Wallace, currently our leader here as FX welcomes you back live, and you get a look at the Hollywood Hotel and our home away from home, and a good look at what's going on here. I want to, if we can get a shot of that front rotor again. I think it was Kenny Wallace's car, and how hot that gets actually, and it's because of the kind of track and the kind of racing that goes on here.
You're going down in this corner so fast when you enter turn 1 and down in turn 3. It is just so hot. We're talking about 1,000 degrees. These things will burn you if you're not careful as far as the tire change is concerned. The other situation you got to worry about is the tire bead. It gets so hot, the bead of the tire is right over top of that rotor, and the heat coming up through that rim a lot of times can damage the bead. And what'll happen, it can get you in trouble. You can see right here, that's the rotor right there. You can see the tire come off of it. Watch. There it is coming off, the new tire coming on, and it goes right back over top of that 1,000-degree rotor, and all that radiant heat is coming right up through into the tire. So the brake heat affects not only the rotors or the brakes, it affects the tires. So keeping the driver off of it is very important.
We thought it was hot today. It's hot tonight. Let's go back upstairs to Mike Joy.
Ricky Craven walked away from that turn 2 crash that has put us under the second caution of the evening. Rusty Wallace leading, Tony Stewart second, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, Johnny Benson are your front 5. There are 18 cars on the lead lap.
Okay.
And they've signaled Rusty Wallace that in 1 lap will go back to green.
And guess what is falling out of the sky?
Nothing. Nothing. That's not rain. That is not rain.
Tractor going out on the track right now, guys. They got a tractor going out on the track, Rusty. Back off. 10-4, I'm on her, John. Roger.
Well, they're still.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Still on 1 to go. A little bit of sweeping going on up there. Guess they're going to drop that vehicle off the track and go.
They're not going.
Man looking at the field. Lights are out on the safety car, and now they come back on. So we're going to stay caution here. Good thing.
Well, I was going to talk to Rusty, but I have him on the radio here. But I think with the confusion that's going on out there, let me wait here and see if we're going to get one going.
Look at it between the start and finish and say probably pit 10 here. If I can call him clear on that lap car if he gets it early. 4.
Now that's Robin Pemberton and Earl Barban, the spotter, talking back and forth.
Rusty, it's DW up my TV tower, bud. You're looking good tonight. Awesome car like last week.
Thanks a lot. It's running really good. It's handling really, really good. I'm just trying to drive a smooth race and hit my marks and keep it driving straight up off the corner. It's running good.
How about the track, Rusty? Has it changed any from the start of the race? About the same?
Or not, a little bit of the sealer's wearing off and the track is freed up just a little bit. Usually in the nighttime it gets tighter, as you know, but as the sealer's coming off, it gets a little bit looser. But I tell you, my car's been pretty doggone good, and it's kind of eating up the track changes.
That's a Big 10-4. How about the weather? You seeing any raindrops out there?
Yeah, we got a little bit of rain out here, but not much. I think if we went back green, it'd be okay. It's just real light sprinkles. They just got to get turn 1 or 2 cleaned out. There's a lot of oil dry over there, and it's going to make for a real slick track.
10-4, bud. Thanks for talking to us, and you are the man.
Wallace has led all but 6 laps. A lot like last year when Rusty led 227 of the first 275 laps of this race. 130 laps complete in Richmond. ...132 laps complete, cleaning up the second caution of the night. This one for Ricky Craven's single-car crash at turn 2. Now, this is Jason Leffler's pit.
They're not shaving the tire. They've sprayed like a silicone or substance on there like soap, and it's telling them that they got a leak. And you see here, they're pointing to it right there. You can see it bubbling right there. It was leaking. Either the wheel had a leak or the bead of the tire had a leak.
Sometimes those wheels will get a little ding in them, and the tire will not seat up against it.
Dick?
Daytona 500 winner Michael Waltrip has had no fun at all tonight. He made an early pit stop for a locking right front brake, and just a few laps ago he made another lengthy pit stop for that locking right front brake. The crew lost a tire in the process. NASCAR held him up for 15 seconds. Hard to say if he's got that thing fixed. Probably he did not. To Matt.
Well, down here in the 20 pit of Tony Stewart, crew chief Greg Zipadelli told me they went up on the track bar 1.5 rounds and made a slight air pressure adjustment. Tony needed help in the center of the corner and needed some forward bite up off the corner. To Steve.
Matt, when Ricky Rudd brought that number 28 car down pit road, the only thing they did was put in gas and change tires. But one other change is going to happen. Ricky Rudd said, I think I'm running better on the high side to get more grip up there. So watch that 28 move up the racetrack just a bit, Jeannie.
Well, Steve, more pit stop frustrations for the 88 crew. Dale Jarrett's Jack Van Verniers missed his spot on the left side this last pit stop. He came in 8th, went out 10th. They said it went 16 plus seconds. They are not pleased and still trying to get that pit stop up to speed. Mike?
18 cars are on the lead lap as we get set to
here on this restart.
That pit crew, Dale Jarrett's pit crew, is the one that came over from the Rainbow Warriors. And, you know, they've had some mistakes. They had a mistake at Darlington. They had a mistake last week in California. And they made another mistake here tonight. So the Rainbow Warriors, or the ex-Rainbow Warriors, having their problems in the pits.
Nonetheless, they are the Winston Cup point leaders. You ask for it, we deliver. You want to hear some pure American NASCAR horsepower? Let's crank it up for this restart. Second place battle into turn 3. Stewart trying to take it from Ricky Rudd.
And he moved up on the high side and looked like he really picked up a lot of speed.
Stewart had a little contact with Kyle Petty there.
Whoa! Got a tiger by the tail. His name is Tony.
Boy, the only problem there you worry about is if it got maybe cut the tire down or cut the valve stem down. That's the big thing about when you start rubbing tires like that with sheet metal.
Wallace the leader. Now Stewart second, Rudd third. Martin, Benson, Gordon.
Boy, 3 wide back here behind these guys. Holy cow.
Steve Park is up for 7th. Bobby Labonte 8th. Dale Jarrett, Sterling Marlin the top 10. The rest of the lead lap cars: Andy Houston, Jeff Burton, Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Spencer, Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Atwood, and Ken Schrader are all on the lead lap.
And if you notice, Mike, those cars are getting a little higher down here in 3 and 4. Almost every lap now, that higher groove is really starting to come in for these guys who are looking for more grip. You heard them talking about that. That's fresh sealer up there. They get up there and those tires will stick a lot better.
Benson and Gordon just made the move on Mark Martin down in turn 1 to the inside. Moves Benson up to 4th and Gordon to 5th.
Kind of an oxymoron, I guess, but when it's real slick up there until it comes in, and then it's like being in glue. It just comes right in, and the hot tires really start to stick to that fresh sealer.
Boy, this racetrack, it's coming to Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. He runs on the high side. He pulls it right down to the bottom, getting in the corner. Here he's going to go by Johnny Benson. This is a battle for 4th. All the way below the yellow line on turn 4.
Benson and Martin get together.
Well, Benson was trying to close that hole there so Martin couldn't get in, but that's not exactly the way to do it.
Boy, Benson's been good in the middle of the corner and off turn 2.
Really getting a good bite. These guys are up high off of 2 back there now.
Mark Martin, he's got Johnny Benson in the 10 car trapped on the high side. Got Steve Park right behind him. If he opens that door, Steve wants to go through it with him.
See, Mark tried to fall back in behind Benson, and when he did, he backed off just a teeny bit. Here comes Park.
So Martin slides all the way back to 7th. Jerry Nadeau and Jeremy Mayfield have both made repairs and come back on the racetrack. You'll see more on FX from Charlotte in 2 weeks. The Winston NASCAR's All-Star Night comes to FX.
Under the lights, sparks are flying here tonight.
Buddy,
DW, you've been part of the sparks
right now. I've never missed one. This will be the first one I've ever not been involved in, and I'm looking forward to calling the race show because I know how exciting it is.
It'll be big track Saturday night.
It will be, buddy.
No points, lots of money, and those guys go for it.
Special paint jobs.
And Mark Martin repasses Steve Park.
Yeah, actually what happened there, like I said, Mark tried to get him behind Benson, and when he did, he had to lift a little bit, and Park made the pass on him, but I think Mark's a little quicker.
And trouble for Andy Houston, who's had a great drive in the first quarter of this race. And it's a long way back around for Houston to pit road.
Well, Tony Stewart, he's all the way on the back bumper. Rusty Wallace, he's wanting the lead of this race. Tony is so much better off the corner. Matt Yoker, what's going on with that 20 car?
Larry, Tony Stewart reporting into his crew chief Greg Zipadelli that his car actually feels better at the beginning of this run after those changes, that track bar adjustment, than this 20 car did at the beginning of the race. Tony Stewart needs to only lead one lap, and then he'll pick up his 1,000th lap led on a short track.
Man, well, he gets this one with an asterisk because he bumped Rusty out of the way to do it.
I got to believe Rusty Wallace will foul that one away. That was a pretty aggressive pass there this early in the race.
And he got him out of shape enough. Ricky Rudd, the 28 car, the Texaco car, he takes second place from him.
Here's another look.
Really got the whole left side of the car down on the apron. That's forcing the issue.
Rusty had to back off the throttle. Ricky Rudd in that black car right there, he's going to take advantage of it well. But we just had talked about Tony Stewart getting off the corner so quick.
Yeah.
From Rusty's bumper cam. Bump in the bump.
You hear Rusty, he did a great job of hanging on to that thing.
How much of this, Darrell, is born of frustration? Last year, Tony Stewart led the league in wins with 6. This year, he's winless, and he's only led 3 races.
Well, I think all that is right there is having a great race car and wanting to get in the lead and just run off and leave everybody if you can. I think that's what that's all about. Tony's a kind of guy that likes to dominate if he can.
Ricky Craven has been released from the infield care center. Jeannie's with us.
Yes, Mike Joy, that is the good news. He has been released. With the bad news, of course, the car sits here in the garage. Ricky, how are you, and what happened?
Oh, I'm fine. I got run into and tore up my tide forward. I'm not real happy about that, but you know, that's short track racing. I'm having fun. I'm not having fun right this minute, but I'm having a lot of fun this year, and we'll recover from this next week.
Frustration, of course, in California with mechanical problems, and now guys just tell me he doesn't think the car will get back out there, but he'll wait.
Had a good run going while it lasted.
And let me tell you, Tony Stewart better pick up the pace because Rusty Wallace is coming with a vengeance.
Not only Rusty, but Jeff Gordon has caught Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd. First time tonight a Pontiac's been out front in the Pontiac Excitement 400 on FX. 158 laps complete at Richmond International Raceway. Tony Stewart with a 1-second lead on Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd. Only 3 top 10s in 10 races for Tony Stewart.
But they've all come here recently, and that team is just getting back in form to do what they did last year, win a lot of races.
This race car is one of the first short track cars that they built for Tony Stewart. They've kind of deemed it as their Richmond-Martinsville car. He won his first race, Winston Cup race here at Richmond in this car, won Martinsville with it, sat on the pole at Martinsville. They keep talking about building a new car, but say, hey, we like this car. It works good for us.
On Fox tracks, that gap is maintaining pretty constant, right around 1 second. Stewart pulls out a little advantage down that straightaway, and Rusty tries to close it back up in the corner.
And on the stopwatch right now, Stewart's about a 10th quicker each lap than Rusty, as long as they're in clear traffic with no lap cars to deal with.
And see, this is what I was talking about, getting when you get the track slips up on you. Now, Rusty was happy with his car, but all of a sudden here comes Tony Stewart, and when Rusty had to go the speed that Tony Stewart's going, his car's not as good as it was. Every time something like that, you got to always be planning ahead about how I'm going to make my car better.
From the Miller Lite cam of Rusty Wallace looking back at Ricky Rudd and Jeff Gordon.
And I believe Ricky Rudd is basically, he and Jeff Gordon are kind of into cruise mode. They got the leaders in sight. They're not really pressing anything too hard. They're not being challenged from the rear. I think they're just kind of sitting there thinking about the big picture.
Next car behind them is Johnny Benson, then Steve Park, Mark Martin, and Dale Jarrett. Pretty well spaced out.
And by the way, tonight the big picture has black and white checkers all over. That's the picture of the night. The bigger picture is got a big Winston Cup trophy in front of it.
Good line there, good line.
We'll update you on Jeremy Mayfield. They've gotten his car back out there. They changed the transmission. Appeared that's maybe what was leaking. Changed the transmission in 40 laps. That's a pretty quick transmission change.
I'd be curious to know if he was, I believe he was shifting gears. And I say that because I heard him in practice, and I said, that car sounded like he was changing gears. And maybe we can get somebody to find out for us.
And Darrell, if they were shifting, the reason they would do that, the two straightaways, backstretch and front stretch, are distinctly different lengths. You'll turn about 300 or 400 more RPMs on the front stretch than the back stretch. So possibly, will they take advantage of a little lower gear? You run high gear all the way around here, but pull it back to third gear to get you down that back stretch where you'll turn less RPMs if you stayed in high gear.
Yeah, you need a 529 down that little short back straightaway, 529 gear ratio. Then you need about a 514 down this front, and that's what you can do with an overdrive transmission.
Take it back to 6th place here. Steve Park and Mark Martin continue to go at it. From the Pfizer cam on board Mark Martin's Jack Roush number 6.
And if they were shifting, Darrell, one of the downsides of that, when you're shifting, you're building a lot more heat in the transmission.
Yeah, that's could have been a problem. I don't know if anybody's ever tried that here, but I never knew anybody had ever tried it at Pocono either until somebody won a race doing that.
The Elliott and Atwood Dodges battling there with Kurt Busch. Those two Dodges are on the lead lap. Kurt Busch is not. Jeff?
Yeah, Casey Atwood starting back in 42nd position right now, challenging Bill Elliott, has moved up over 26 positions since the start of this race. Earlier this afternoon, I had a conversation with Ray Evernham, and he was down there working with this group, and he could not say enough good things about how Casey Atwood had started to get a really good feel for his race car. Early on in the day, they were complaining about, hey, the racetrack is really, really slick. This was on Friday afternoon. Something is either wrong with the car or wrong with the racetrack, and Ray couldn't figure it out. Ray told me, he said he finally went down into the corner, found where somebody either spilled some oil or some antifreeze or some kind of fluid on the racetrack, the slick spot. And Casey was hitting it with the left side tires and upsetting the race car. And he knew then this kid has really got a good feel. Couldn't tell him what was wrong with the car. He said there was something going on getting into turn 1. And Ray said, hey, I've got me a good driver tonight. I think he's starting to show it.
Second place battle. Wasn't much of a battle. Ricky Rudd moved inside.
4 cars right behind him inside.
And now Jeff Gordon trying to follow him through.
By a quarter inside. Inside.
I'd say not much of a battle, Darrell, but it's not as if Rusty couldn't have fought him for that position if he wanted to.
We're not even halfway yet. I think Rusty's car is maybe gone away just a little bit. The track's changed. You heard him say that as I talked to him. I think he'll have to make some adjustments to that car to get back to where he was. So he's not going to fight anybody right now. Just follow him.
One thing Rusty could be doing right here, these cars caught him, went by him. He may want to get back there and see what these guys are doing, what line they're running right now.
Well, if they start running a higher line, he was committed to the bottom, and that's normal Rusty Walsh. He'll hang the inside. He might want to get back and take a look at where they're running, see if he can move up, help himself.
20 cars floated in there pretty good there, DJ.
Talk with Dale Jarrett, and you see that he's running just a little bit quicker than the race leader.
We heard his crew chief, Todd Parrott, talk to him about how Tony Stewart in the 20 car was going down into turn 1. That's Todd giving Dale Jarrett his lap times, comparing it to the leader.
How important is that, Darrell, to a driver to know how fast he's running compared to the leader?
Oh, it means everything. Of course, I always like to use the start-finish line as my reference point to tell me the leader's at the line now, then I know how far behind I am. And then I got to have my lap times. I got to have them every lap, particularly on a track like this where you're always moving around looking for a better place to run. So that's very, very critical to a driver.
Tony Stewart now leading by 3 seconds over Ricky Rudd. There's his teammate Bobby Labonte, who is 9th. Dick?
Well, Tony Stewart indeed is leading this race, and it's a very different strategy for Stewart and his teammate. To begin with, they can't run the same setup successfully here at Richmond, so spring shocks and so forth differ. But Labonte has a very curious strategy. He is talking to his spotter about his brakes, and he wants to know if they ever show glowing. So far, they have not. As Stewart goes into the first turn, his brakes glow red. As Labonte goes in, his do not. Matt?
And Dick, Tony Stewart talked to his spotter, Mark Robertson, about the same exact thing. He says, keep an eye on my brakes. If they look like they're too orange, let me know, and I will change how I enter the corner to try to be a little
little easier on my brakes.
Using the nighttime to advantage.
Well, that's the whole thing. A driver has to know. He doesn't realize how much he's using those brakes until somebody, either the brake dust out of the wheels when they change tires on a pit stop, that's always a good indicator. But here tonight, it's the heat, the glow.
22 laps to halfway in the Pontiac Excitement 400 at Richmond International Raceway. Stewart leading Rudd, Gordon, and Wallace. Tony Stewart has opened up his advantage on Ricky Rudd now to 2.7 seconds. Gordon hanging tightly on to Rudd, second and third. 15 laps to halfway.
And Rusty's falling back there. You see Johnny Benson's in hot pursuit of him, and that's just how quickly things can change on a track like this.
But Darrell, yeah, the racetrack's changing because probably the sealer. Another factor we hadn't talked about it. We started this race, the track temperature was 95 degrees. Now it has cooled down to 85 degrees. That's quite a change in track temperature.
Oh yeah.
Still on the lead lap, battling for 16th place, Bill Elliott and Kenny Schrader.
There you see a little difference in the air temperature, but the big difference is that 9 or 10 degree swing in the track temperature will tighten the racetrack up.
Yeah, that's just, it's like anything else. It's good for everything. Makes the track better. Car runs a little cooler. Some of these hot brake rotors will get a little cooler. Water temperature, all those temperatures will go down. It's easier on the driver. These race cars are just like people. They respond to the ambient temperature, what's going on around them. Matter of fact, that's why we give them names, just like we know them personally. Well, we do know them personally. Why y'all look at me like that?
You talk to them all the time, don't you?
Talk to them all night long.
Talk about them?
Yeah. Show you the difference in the two straightaways here. The front straightaway where Tony's going by now. Here he comes down into turn one. 42, about 142 mile an hour down into that corner. He's going to come off of turn two here up onto this real short back straightaway. Now here he comes down the back, 24, 33, 34. About 10 mile an hour difference because of the difference in the length of the two straightaways.
About 10 miles an hour difference, probably about 300 RPMs difference.
And that's why we thought maybe that somebody like maybe Jeremy Mayfield was trying to shift gears to maintain that good speed.
And Stewart's corner entry speed, his peak speed at the end of the straightaway, is 1 to 2 miles an hour faster than Ricky Rudd and Jeff Gordon. That's why he's just eking away bit by bit.
It is, but it's also why his brake rotors are a little redder than theirs too.
And we've talked about brakes for 190 laps. A few weeks ago at Martinsville, we talked about brakes, but the difference here, this place is really harder on brakes than Martinsville because you run a much higher gear here. Your entrance speed, when you back off the throttle, that higher gear don't slow the car down as much as that lower gear, and you use more brake.
Right, and here I always felt like I was riding the car down. At Martinsville, I had to stop. Make the thing just make a U-turn like you always, like the paper clip.
You get on the brake, try to get off.
Get off of it. But here you kind of ride in there with the foot on the brake.
Stewart laps past Ron Hornaday. Let's check with Steve.
Hey, Mike, with heavy braking, one byproduct is lots of brake dust. Mark Armstrong is the tire changer on the 99, the front tire changer. He's got a light attached to his glove, powered by 3 9-volt batteries, and Mark's nickname is Hollywood. So down here, he's got lights, camera, and action on pit road.
I think they ought to call him E.T.
You know, if they call him Hollywood, he needs to get up in that hotel with Hammond and Chris Myers.
Boy, don't let Hammond hear you say that. It'd be hot.
Guys, I got news for you. There's plenty of room for all you guys. Bring it on down.
Wait a minute. You got the no vacancy sign out. How can there be room for us?
Don't worry, I'll make room for you, Mike. I've got plenty of room for guys like you. It's called the outhouse.
Oh, I'll see you in Loudon next week.
I can't wait, buddy.
We're at lap 195. We're going to see guys on pit road again here in about another probably 10 or 15 laps. Remember, everybody was on pit road between lap 100 and 110. They'll be making this pit stop again here in 5 or 10 laps.
The pits are busy because of a tangle up in turn 2 between Ward Burton and Andy Houston. Put us under caution for the 3rd time tonight, so all the lead lap cars making pit stops, and Andy Houston, who was on track to have his best finish of the season, instead is walking back. Here it is.
Headed down into turn 1 here. Ward Burton up on the outside of Andy Houston. going around the wreck car of Brett Bodine. Ward drops to the inside and gives Andy a little shot right there, and then that wasn't enough. He decided he might give him a little bit more.
Boy, he hit that wall hard.
He did. That's slow. You know, folks, that's in slow motion, so you don't really get a good sensation of what it's like, but that's a pretty hard lick into the back straightaway wall. Man.
Darrell, on that second one, it looked as if Andy had gotten loose and he'd lost his forward motion. Ward had a lot of momentum coming up off that corner.
Yeah, Ward's going to turn under him right here and gas it, and whoops, got him sideways. I don't think it, yeah, Andy got loose. Actually, Ward never even touched him. Andy got a little, I think he probably tried to accelerate up out of that corner, and when he did, trying to stay ahead of Ward, lost it.
Yeah, they was out there on 90 to 100 lap tires. Those tires won't hook up when they got that many laps on them.
He got a little shot there that first time, got him sideways, and then I think he probably tried to overdrive it up off the corner.
Boy, the real winner off pit road, Ricky Rudd, that Texaco Havoline group, they won the battle off pit road, 4 tires here at the halfway mark. Talked about it in the beginning. Temper, short track, full moon.
Boy, that's a shame. It's so frustrating for that young man.
And he had a great run going.
Doing a good job, and he needed a great run. That team has struggled.
We are halfway in the Pontiac Excitement 400, a race that's living up to its name. And Ricky Rudd, after pit stops, is our leader over Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon. Not only is it Short Track Saturday night on FX, it's Full Moon Short Track Saturday night. And we're glad you're watching this telecast tonight. We have several more for you on Saturday nights, and hope you'll also visit your local Saturday night racetrack. But now, time for our Pep Boys trivia. Who's the only driver to win a Busch and Winston Cup race at Richmond in the same weekend?
It's
you know the answer.
It's got to be Jeff Burton, or it's got to be Mark Martin. But I'm going to think it's Jeff Burton.
Answer to most Busch questions is Mark Martin.
Exactly.
Harry Gant! The fall of 1991. How about that?
That was my answer last night, just wrong question.
Yeah. You were a day ahead of yourself.
That was just before racing really started, 1991.
We're under caution at lap 205.
Wow, what's that?
For Andy.
Flying out of that center.
Bobby Hamilton, I'm not sure.
Hambone is losing.
Hope those are ice cubes from his cold drink cup.
Some big ice cubes.
Pretty hot out there, but
well, there's Bobby. Yeah, now he's gonna put his gloves back on. He's
didn't want to get his gloves wet.
Getting ready to go back to racing, and we will when we come back to Richmond. We're just past halfway. A lot of racing, a lot of excitement to go here on FX. Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway. Hard at work in the Hollywood Hammond Hotel.
They spend more money on more stuff down there. How much more stuff can they get in that?
I don't know, y'all. Let's take care of some real business here. Let me talk to Ricky Rudd a minute, see what he's doing.
Let's do that.
Hey, Ricky Rudd, DW up at the TV booth. Old Phoenix and car running pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, Darrell, we're pretty steady. We're not super, but we're real good. Tony jumped out there, and looks like he's got us covered a little bit. I think he's just playing with us right now. But towards the end of that run, we start inching back up on him. Kind of afraid to make too many adjustments. We're so good that you make one little adjustment, next thing you know, you're in the back of the pack getting laps. So we're probably just going to stick to what we got and hope the track comes to us a little bit.
The brakes working okay tonight. A lot of people have been complaining about that.
Man, we got those Ray Best's brakes. They stop on a dime. I'm tickled to death with them.
All right, 10-4. Fat back isn't getting me in trouble, is he?
He'll get a little sassy every now and then. We got to put him in his place every once in a while.
Some Hollywood glasses is what it is.
I think it has something to do with that name change. Somewhere along where he went from Fatback to Michael. He got a little sassy.
All right, man, 10-4. Good luck to you. And Larry Mack said to you he's got you picked in the pool tonight.
Tell him I hope I don't let him down, and maybe we'll get a little cut of that pool.
I guarantee it.
Let's see, what's 10% of nothing? Because that's what the pool pays around here. 209 laps complete. We're just past halfway, cleaning up from the third caution of the night. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Richmond. They've had to put Speedy Dry all the way around the racetrack in the low grooves. Somebody dropping fluid. And the jet blower, that's a helicopter jet engine hooked up there to blow the track dry.
Speaking of blowing.
Yeah, are there blow dryers in the Hollywood Hammond Hotel?
No, but there's a lot of wind going on in there.
Wait a minute. Is there anybody in the Hollywood Hammond Hotel?
Out to eat.
That figures. I can't believe it. Normally they get catering in there.
Where do you suppose they went to eat? Look, chairs is empty.
I know they're out to lunch.
Yeah, we know that.
They're also out to lunch somewhere. Now, we got 40 cameras here. You'd think we could find them. Hey.
All right, wait a minute. They want grits. What?
You don't even know what grits are, do you?
Is that part of the grill on the car?
No. That's grits over there.
Oh, okay.
Back there is what you call good southern eating. This is not caviar. You can see it. You got some sausage, some eggs, country ham.
Yeah. By the way,
potatoes.
By the way, the guy on table 43 said you look good in an apron, too, which I heard.
I'm telling you right now.
I wonder what they're eating up in the booth. You think they're a
I got news for you right now. They got a lot of bologna in the booth.
Yeah, and a lot of ham too.
I guarantee you that.
Guys, don't quit your day job, or maybe you ought to, and maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a better future there than television.
That's Catfish and his assistant. That's who that is. You know why we call him Catfish?
Nope.
He can blow up an orange sack.
Oh, they're doing a fine job. Cleanup continues, and hopefully we'll be racing when we come back. They've just waved the green flag. We're racing again at Richmond. 215 laps. Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin take off on the restart.
I think Rusty probably made some really good adjustments. That was a timely caution for him because his car had gotten off a little bit. I'll be curious to see if he can go back up there and kind of strike out like he did before early in the day.
17 lead lap cars. Kenny Wallace, first of those, a lap down in 18th.
Ricky Rudd seemed to think that Tony Stewart was kind of playing with him, so we'll see what Tony does as he moves around Mark Martin. Oh, trouble right here on the front.
Kurt Busch goes spinning, and a lot of brake and tire smoke trying to avoid him.
Here comes Peoples all over the place trying to get laps back, but I don't think they're going to make it this time.
No, Kenny Wallace way too far back to have a run at Ricky Rudd. Fourth caution of the night. It comes at lap 218.
Of course, it's just 1 or 2 laps after a restart.
He
just
gets
got loose.
And guess who helps him on around?
Matt Kenseth, teammate, 17 car. But Kurt definitely had gotten loose before Matt ever got near him.
Right.
Darrell, if Kenseth hadn't helped him around, did he risk being punted from behind?
What he risked
if he hadn't just kept going?
Is the car turning dead right, what he risked.
Oh.
Because he had it sideways. When it come back around, he'd have shot right straight across in front of everybody and probably wiped out a bunch of cars. So I guess if you want to be kind to Matt Kenseth, he did him a favor.
Because there were about 20 or 25 cars right behind him coming at him.
Oh, yeah. Here they all are from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Bud Cam.
Saw Ward Burton in the 22 car really had to lock his tires up.
And that old yeller smoke comes flying up off those tires.
Now, Andy Houston turned around in turn 2, knocked out of the race. Jeannie's with him.
Yes, Mike Joy. He's standing here. Well, everybody's pitching in on his car. Ricky Craven's crew, Ricky Rudd's crew's over here as well. But you got some help on the track. A little love tap from Ward Burton. Was that a rookie initiation?
Yeah, it was. And, you know, the McDonald's Ford was running awesome tonight. Started 34th, worked our way up to 11th. Had an ignition box problem and lost a lot of ground, and that's what got us back there. But Ward Burton evidently has some kind of problem with me. He run over me at Martinsville under caution, and now he just takes me out. I mean, no rubbing, no bumping or anything to make the pass, and passed him clean, and he runs in the back of me and spins me around. But don't even know the guy. Never really talked to him. All I know that for some reason he doesn't like me. But the drive-through crew is going to try to fix this car and get back out there, just get some points.
All right, we'll try to get to the bottom of this. Matt Yoakum?
Well, Tony Stewart was the big loser on that last round of pit stops, dropping from 1st to 4th. He's already climbed up 1 spot. He was complaining earlier about his car needing a little more forward bite up off the corner. After that last pit stop, he said his car is a little bit better. They did go up 1 round on the track bar. He had 92 laps on that set of tires. He says the car is still very good, but they had a 17-second change pit stop. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Well, Matt, Ricky Rudd's team didn't make any adjustments to the 28, but the 2 bunch did. They came in fourth, went out second. While they were on pit road, they lowered the track bar 1 round. Also took a pound out of the left front, the left rear, and the right rear. Dick?
Lots of significant adjustments around me. Jimmy Spencer, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew both removed spring rubbers. Bobby Labonte's crew took it out of the right front, trying to make that car handle a little bit better. Upstairs.
And back under green at lap 221. Andy Houston is the only car in the garage. Even Ricky Craven's made repairs and come back out.
And he may not know Ward Burton, but he was getting ready to send him a little telegraph there with that helmet.
Kenny Wallace again trying to get back on the lead lap side by side with Rusty, but Ricky Rudd is pulled out ahead of them all.
Just looking at Kenny Wallace's car right here. He'd love to stay with these guys.
There goes Rusty right on down in there, right under Ricky Rudd.
Kenny outside, trying to get there with him.
Tony Stewart, that 20 car, Ricky Rudd said he was just playing with him. He's pulled right up on the rear bumper in 3rd place.
Tony's got that. He's got that good outside line. He goes in a little high, runs through the center of the corner, and then as we saw earlier, he can cut that thing right to the bottom. So that car is hooked up.
Right behind them, Jeff Gordon underneath Mark Martin, and that will change 4th place.
He's diming the quarter off now. He drives in, lets it float up in the middle, then he turns it right to the bottom. Here he comes up high.
Dale Jarrett coming. First move toward the front 5 we've seen from Jarrett tonight.
Well, I think he got a wake-up call there a little bit ago when Todd called him and said that 20 car was coming. He's been fast ever since.
His pit crew redeemed himself on this last pit stop. He picked up about 2 spots. This is the same car that Dale Jarrett won Martinsville with about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
That's a good hot rod, we know. Boy, after these restarts, boy, very intense racing.
Kevin Harvick in the 29 car right now. He's a lap down. He's in 19th position.
To see Steve Park come around the outside and take him 3 wide down into turn 1.
And that's easy to do here, Mike. You get 2 guys racing each other, one on the outside, one on the end, one next to each other, and that leaves a whole lot of room down this big sweeping front straightaway to drop to the bottom. But you can't make the turn that way.
We'll have Winston Cup action on FX in 2 weeks. NASCAR's All-Star Night, the Winston from Lowe's Motor Speedway in Charlotte.
And very seldom have we had a Winston that wasn't filled with controversy. Always controversy in the Winston.
Well, of course, you're not in it this year, so
I'll be able to create some controversy.
Okay.
70 laps, though, no points. The teams, they pull out all the stops. They put those qualifying motors in there. They set those cars up to run free, going after that big pot of gold.
30 laps, and then a 10-lap shootout for, what, $250,000.
Pretty good night's work.
I like that Saturday night like that.
And no points to worry about.
They let the rough side drag on that Saturday night.
Looking back from Kenny Wallace as you watch Wallace at work trying to hold off Jeff Gordon, who is the 4th place car.
Kenny's car's working pretty darn good. I mean, you watch him with his hands on the wheel. He's down into turn 1. Kind of got his hand right over the top there. Car not too tight. Back in the throttle. Whoa, whoa. Got a little loose off of there.
What I see right there, Darrell, is he's not driving the car as deep in the corners, Jeff Gordon, but Jeff Gordon's paying a little price getting off the corner because of how deep he's going in the corner.
And when you drive in hard, you got to keep your foot on that brake a little bit longer, and it just keeps the car from turning. When your foot's on the brake, the car will not turn. You got to get off the brake.
Right there in turn 1 and 2, you saw how much ground Jeff Gordon made up on him. Look how much he lost down the back straightaway because he didn't get back to the throttle as quick.
Kenny's oldest brother, Rusty Wallace, trying to pull away from Ricky Rudd, and he's about 7/10 of a second up on Rudd right now. On this track, 7/10 of a second is about 6 or 7
Trouble, big trouble. Down the front, cars going everywhere.
Blaney and Michael
about 10. They're still wrecking the 5 car. And here comes the leader.
Caution out, spotters backing everybody down. Kenny Wallace cannot get his lap back, despite Rusty jumping on the brakes. And the accident scene is pretty clear when they get there.
Michael.
A lot of damage to the rear of that car. Everybody got their car going.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of cars that, particularly Terry Labonte and Michael's car, were torn up the worst.
Here's how it started. Coming up off turn 4.
Really, as I just had said, after these restarts, it's some really intense racing going on back in the field here. Ooh. Oh, I see Kenny Schrader and Bill Elliott bounced off each other. Michael was there. Bobby Hamilton slides through.
Casey Atwood spinning right through the middle of it.
It's like I said, you can get 3 wide. The track is wide enough down the center of this front straightaway, but when they get down here to the closer to turn 1, something's got to give. Kenny and Bill Elliott get together and turn Michael around. Dale Jr. does a good job avoiding it.
Bobby
Hamilton got some damage. 19 car. Bunch of cars got damage.
From Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Bud Cam.
Well, he did a good job of getting through this mess.
Now, some of the lead lap cars have pitted, but not the front runners.
No, what happened about first through 8 stayed out there.
Man, that real time that's incredible when you see them coming at you like that.
All the leaders was on pit road at lap 197. Now that was about 40 laps ago, but we run about 27 caution laps. So not a lot of laps on our tires. But again, a lot of the guys at the back of the lead pack decided to come to pit road.
Dick?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had to pit because he had flat spotted tires. Michael Waltrip has to pit because the whole back end of this race car is all torn up. Spoiler is off of it. That's going to be a huge problem. They've got electric saws out there trying to cut enough stuff off this car so they can at least have half a chance of rebuilding the back end. And they are going to have to do that for Michael Waltrip to get back on the racetrack. Right now, they wouldn't even be able to put gas in this thing. It is so bad up, Mike.
Bobby Hamilton as well, flailing sheet metal on the right side. Going to put a big Band-Aid on it.
Yeah, they just get rid of most of that. It's hanging loose. They got saws.
Jimmy Elledge, the crew chief, on the right of your screen working, and now they'll just Band-Aid the rest.
You want to get rid of all the sheet metal, but you want to keep that deck lid. And you want to
keep that part right there, that big spoiler. You got to keep that on there. You can't drive the car.
They couldn't take any more time to fix it because the pace car is coming, and he doesn't want to lose a lap there. Michael Waltrip brushes the wall after contact from Bill Elliott, who was bumped by Kenny Schrader, and that puts us under caution number 5 on Full Moon Saturday night at Richmond. Races that Annie waits to become driving. Earnhardt Jr. leads, and the crowd comes to its feet.
Jeff Gordon's a man on the move. He's got a fast car, and that's a money man. He is in control of the race. He's just got to sit there and keep everybody at bay. What a great drive by Ricky Rudd.
You get in the lead, it fixes everything. You ever notice that?
237 laps complete, 163 to go. You're at Richmond International Raceway. Rusty Wallace back up front. Ricky Rudd, Tony Stewart, now youngest brother Kenny Wallace. Trying to get a lap back from Rusty, and Kenny's had a pretty good car in this last green flag run.
Yeah, he has been able to hang right there with them, but I think Rusty will probably be a little bit more concerned about Ricky Rudd than he will his brother.
That's the other brother, Mike Wallace, in the 7th car. He's 2 laps down there behind Kenny Wallace.
Boy, I tell you, for these restarts, anytime we get cautions and get the restarts, it gets everybody bunched up, and boy, it's treacherous.
Well, let's crank it up for you a little bit here and let you enjoy 750 or more times 40 whatever pure American horsepower. Side by side for second, Tony Stewart on the outside of Ricky Rudd.
Boy, Stewart's car is so good getting in the corner. Man, he can drive that thing in there.
Jeff Gordon, 24 car, both of them working that second groove. Daryl's taking about over 200 laps. That second groove is in there.
And don't look now, but old Ups is right there with him.
Dale Jarrett moving into the top 5 for the first time tonight.
I love it. You know, that's funny. His crew chief called him up and said, you need to pick it up a little bit. That 20 car is coming. And I'll be darned if he didn't turn on the afterburner.
Remember how he and Ricky Rudd dueled at Martinsville, the two Robert Yates team cars finishing 1-2. First time they had done that.
Well, Ricky's kind of committed to the bottom, and everybody seems to be sailing around him on the outside. He needs to get behind these guys, see what they're doing, and start trying to do the same thing.
Gordon is the first car tonight, Darrell, I think, that we've seen as strong in the high lane of the racetrack as Tony Stewart.
I think he's been kind of going to school on Tony.
Several cars knocked out in that accident at lap 232. Here's Jeannie.
Yes, Mike Joy, it is very busy in the garage right now. Michael Waltrip on one side, Terry Labonte here on the other. Can you take us through what happened?
Well, I'm not really sure what happened up in front of me there. A couple guys got turned around or something, and there was a lot of smoke. I had a hole there, and it kind of closed up when I was about halfway through it, so it knocked the right rear out from under it. And we're going to try to fix it and get back out just to make everybody feel good, but we're pretty much done for the night.
All right, thanks for the time. Matt Yoakum?
Well, down here in the 9th pit, Bill Elliott has pulled his car behind the wall. Double trouble for Bill Elliott. He's pointing to his dash panel. They had some kind of fire underneath the dash, so they're going to change the dash panel. Also, the radiator has been knocked in, so they're going to have to change the radiator as well. Bad luck for Bill Elliott.
Elliott's top 5 finish at Daytona has been the sole bright spot of his season. That's his only top 10. He's at 14th place finishes, next best after his 5th at Daytona.
If you look at that dash panel on Bill Elliott's cars, all these cars have a full steel dash in them, but we have an insert that goes right in front of the driver that has the gauges, the switches, and so many of the electrical connections, and you can easily change it out. I won't say easily, but a lot easier than taking a whole dashboard out.
Ricky Rudd working the bottom lane now on his Robert Yates teammate, Dale Jarrett.
He fought him for a while on the bottom of the racetrack. He finally had to give it up.
Steve?
Yeah, one of the problems for Ricky Rudd is we've run a lot of caution laps, Mike. It takes him a while. His car is tight when he first starts a green flag run. It takes him a while for the tires to get up to where he likes them. But again, he does not, we've just heard that he does not like this set of tires. So he's got a little bit more of a problem than just being tight.
So Rudd sits in 5th behind Rusty Wallace, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Jarrett. Here's Earnhardt Jr. just out of the top 10 with Mark Martin. A look at Robert Yates Racing at Richmond, 5 victories.
One win for Davey Allison. That was actually Davey's last Winston Cup win in 1993.
Real good lap, nice and smooth. 22.17, 25 on the leader.
That's 22.17 seconds for him, 22.25, that 25, the race leader.
And that's what you reference to. You're referencing to that race leader. That's who's important right now.
And that's what you want to hear, because that's a little quicker than the leader, and that means he's closing the gap just ever so slightly. Dale Jarrett has got himself in a great position now. I mean, he's right there. It's halfway of the race, a little over halfway, 250 laps, sitting there in the catbird seat now.
8th and 9th place battle, Steve Park and Jimmy Spencer.
Now on that last caution, Steve Park, he was one of the first cars to hit pit road. Jimmy Spencer was like in 8th place. He stayed out, so this is the difference right here between a little bit fresher tires. Dale Earnhardt Jr. as well was on pit road.
See Matt Kenseth in the midst of that mix, 17. He's up to 7th, looking for his 2nd top 10 finish of the season. He was 6th at Martinsville and finished top 5 last night in the Busch race.
Well, these guys right here all going at it pretty hot and heavy too. Lap cars in the mix, and then lead lap cars trying to get through.
I'm sure what Steve Park, Dale Earnhardt Jr., a lot of these guys would like to see here in just the next few laps. They'd probably maybe like to see a caution flag. That means all those guys in front of them would probably come to pit road and they'd get some track position.
They could stay out, yeah.
Steve Park moving up on Matt Kenseth for 7th place. Matt?
Well, Mike, the reason why they pitted under that caution, Steve Park was not happy with that set of tires. He was complaining the car was still tight, so they took the opportunity. They only lost 2 spots. Also an update on Jeff Gordon. He's tight in the center of the corner and loose off.
And that's kind of the way this track will go. It'll get real tight through the center. That's why you see the cars move up to that higher line, and then they're loose off, because eventually everybody's going to come off in the same place, and that's where the sealer wears off.
And what also happens when you're tight in the center, you've got the steering wheel turn, you've got to turn. Finally, the front tires bite, and the rear tires can't keep up.
The back end comes around.
Rusty Wallace with a 1.3-second advantage on Tony Stewart. Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, the top 5, then Benson, Fark, Earnhardt Jr., Kenseth, and Spencer. With an 0.8 of a second lead on Jeff Gordon. Each tenth here is about a car length on a 3/4 mile racetrack. So make that about 8 car lengths on Tony Stewart. Jeff Gordon beginning to close on Stewart somewhat. Ricky Rudd a solid 4th. Dale Jarrett has fallen back from Rudd quite a bit now in 5th place. And then it's a gap back to Johnny Benson in 6th.
How about this 99 car? Jeff Burton started 17th. He just moved into the top 10. He's in 10th place. They probably had one of the worst races you could have at Fontana last week, but this is the car that he ran 3rd with at Martinsville a few weeks ago. Frank Stoddard, they was pretty pleased after practice yesterday, and he's moving forward, especially. It's like the racetrack's coming to this group.
Yeah, it is. That's some of that thing. That's one of those anticipation things you got to do. Anticipate what this thing's going to be like in the last 100 laps.
Hard to believe Jeff Burton's only had 1 top 5 finish this year. 3rd at Martinsville.
And our pole sitter, he's kind of drifted back through the field too. Mark Martin, I don't think his setup was maybe good for the track changing. How about it, Matt? You know anything about that?
Well, DW, I walked down to the 6th pit, and it's so tough to hear down here being the first pit stall entering turn 1. So I wrote on my notepad to Sean Parker, the car chief, are you loose in or loose off? And he crossed it out and wrote, we are loose everywhere. Mark is just trying to hang on.
Kenny Schrader, Bobby Labonte battling for 14th and 15th place. Right behind Martin.
Kurt Busch in the 97 car right now, he's one lap down. He was involved in that accident on the front stretch a while ago and spun.
And Casey Atwood, another car involved in that accident, is still on the lead lap, trailing this pack. What a run that rookie's had tonight.
Yeah, he was in that wreck, but it didn't get a lot of damage and was able to keep going. Haven't said a lot about the 40 cars, Sterling Marlin, but he's right there in 12th spot. And again, sort of the leader of the Dodge Brigade.
This group, they changed a lot on this race car last night and today. They were not happy at all after happy hour. But he said, you know, we ran good at Martinsville with this car. We wasn't good. We was not very pleased with happy hour at Martinsville, so maybe we're going to fall in the same category. And he's sitting here running in 12th position.
And at 12th, he is the highest placed Dodge in the race. Andy Houston has made repairs. His crew has made repairs. He is back on track. So the only cars in the garage right now are Ricky Craven, who came back on track and has returned to the garage. Terry Labonte and Bill Elliott's cars are being worked on in the garage.
And Darrell, it's not unusual for about 35, 36, 7 cars to be running at the end of this race.
Oh, no. This attrition's usually not that high here other than bent up sheet metal.
Yeah, it's not unusual for 32 of those 37 to be pretty well banged up.
Oh, yeah, they've always got a lot of damage on them from collisions that they've been in. But the teams have gotten so good about getting these cars back in the race and keeping them on the racetrack. They make repairs and get them back out there because everybody's thinking about the points. And I tell you, Tony Stewart is getting a little bit closer to Rusty again.
Yeah, Foxtrack shows that he has cut Wallace's lead in half since we came back from the last break.
Wonder if he'll be a little more courteous when he passes this time. Wonder if Rusty will remember what happened the last time he passed him.
We've been on a fairly long green run. They'll start catching some lap cars here. Certainly will make a difference as well.
These are all things that, as a former driver, I wonder about.
Darrell, drivers don't hold grudges, do they?
Well, some seem to have better memories than others.
Boy, Stewart is there. He caught Wallace in a hurry.
Just where he was so strong earlier, he's strong off the corner, on the exit of the corner.
Stewart tried running a few laps down at the bottom of the racetrack and then went back up top.
Now, Rusty, in the past, you know, has been running right around the bottom. But I think he realizes Tony's there. See how it works out. Rusty goes in on the bottom, pushes up a little bit more than he has been, the grip should be pretty good right where they're running.
How hard do you want to fight him, Darrell, with still 125 laps to go?
Whoa, you don't want to give up a whole lot, particularly when you saw how far away he got the last time. So this might be a good time to just see if you can hold him off or not.
Wallace has led 287 of the last 324 laps.
But I do know this. If he got that nose up under me like he did last time, I would give him a little more room.
Call, good job. Up to you.
This is the same car that Rusty, Robin Pemberton, these guys had here in the fall race. Was set on the pole, was lead the race when the engine let go.
Well, Rusty's one of those guys that whatever the most gear is that there anybody out there is going to have, if it's a 500 or 514, he's going to have the most gear.
Well, look at the success rate or success record of your 5 drivers at the front of the field. There's a lot of wins packed up there in those front 5 spots.
That's all that good experience. Those are all the good experience drivers there.
Of course, Tony Stewart has only been in the series a little over 2 years.
What's interesting about Stewart's 9 wins is they've come on 5 different size racetracks. He's won on the half and 3/4 and mile tracks, the 1.5 and the 2-mile tracks.
Well, think about this. Jeff Gordon hadn't been in this series but about 10 years.
That's a good point.
He's poised to break a lot of records.
121 laps to go at Richmond International Raceway. Rusty Wallace and Tony Stewart just about a car length apart, with Jeff Gordon a further half-second back. You're watching NASCAR on FX. We're under caution for the 6th time tonight. These are the lap down cars pitting. Andy Houston had something let go on his Cal Wells number 96 down in turn 2. Might have put a bit of fluid there. You see it coming out the tailpipes and all over, so caution came out. And pit stops for the leaders.
Rusty's going to be one of the first ones to peel off in his pits. He's pitting back up about 2/3 of the way down pit road, and he's got an opening in front of him. See, he gets the car turned out. He don't have to worry about getting blocked in.
I used to turn my car out like that and it'd make Jeff and them mad because they want me to pull straight in my pit. But the driver likes to nose that nose out so he can get a good straight run out of the pit.
Darrell, one thing I think you'll notice as they get ready to come out of pit road, that little turnout helped Rusty get going right there and beat the 20 car out. He had to kind of turn to get around the car right behind him, which was Jeff Gordon, who also got boxed in by the 1. It really hurt his pit stop. He had to back up.
There you see Jeff Gordon having to back up, cost him a lot of time. Every time that clock's going tick, tick, these other guys is leaving pit road.
So Wallace and crew, at least for this round of pit stops, made a good call with their choice of pit selection. If you can't be the first down pit road, Wallace said, well, let's take the first opening in front of us, and it paid off. You see, he came in first and came out first. Gordon had to back up, and he was the big loser among the top 5. Let's get set for this restart. Still 16 cars on the lead lap.
And they're not quite, I don't think, Larry and I talked about this, in their pit window. They may be able to, some guys can stretch it this far.
It's going to be close. 115 laps to go. They're going to turn up the wick, D-W.
It's time to go racing, boys. It's all the saving whatever you got's over with now. Use it up. I got a feeling that 20 car is going to be on the move.
Ward Burton, the first of the cars a lap down, unable to take advantage of Rusty Wallace on the restart. Then again, nobody's been able to all night. For more on Rusty's stop, here's Steve.
Well, Mike, the adjustment they made was they went down just a quarter turn on the track bar. They debated making an air pressure adjustment, but Rusty said, nope, I like them the way they are. So just a quarter turn down on that track bar, Matt.
Steve, Tony Stewart came in second, had a 15.3-second pit stop. No changes on the 20 car. He went back out second to Dick Berggren.
Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt Jr. both took on 4 tires, a can of gas, made no changes whatsoever to their race cars, and both did it so well that they picked up spots on pit road. GD's next.
Well, Dale Jarrett has been complaining of tightness most of the evening here. They were debating a track bar adjustment, but went with that right rear tire pressure adjustment again. This time, taking a half pound out. He did take 4 tires, gas, and this pit stop going much better as crew chief Todd Parrott stood on the wall and cheered his guys on.
Second place, Ricky Rudd takes it away from Tony.
Boy, Ricky was really getting off the turn 4, and he's been putting that nose underneath Tony. He finally got by him.
Boy, Darrell, one thing I noticed through our pit reports there, these guys, they're getting down to fine-tunage adjustment. Quarter turns on track bar, that's like a 1/16 of an inch. Half a pound of air pressure, that's like 5 pounds of spring rate. Not very big adjustment.
No, most of these guys are pretty good. They don't want to make any big adjustments. They just want to try to tune her in so that they can go to the end.
Stewart backing up. Here comes Jarrett on the outside.
It's not uncommon to see Tony's car not real good on a restart, but then really get good as the run goes along.
Right now, that 24 car, these guys getting better and better as the night gets on.
Right now, Ricky Rudd looks to me like he's sitting on a hot car.
To go the distance without another stop, the lead lap cars would have to go about 116 laps.
I believe they can do it. They've been going. They won 110. I believe they can do it.
That hot car, that 28 car, he wants the lead here.
Well, that change really worked on Ricky Rudd because on the last couple of restarts, he had not been very strong.
Here's where he's really good, right off turn 4, right around the bottom, really accelerates up out of that corner.
Rusty Wallace, he's not ready to give it up. Running that high line about 2.5 lanes up.
He'll get upside of him over there, but Ricky's got the bottom and should be able to come up in front of him. No, he's going to be a little cautious. Off of this corner is where Ricky's really been good. Right off the bottom, he really clears Rusty right here. Rusty fights back. Kind of interesting how Rusty's changed his line because he was committed to the bottom, but now he's around the top and running a little better.
I'm watching our score monitor. Even these guys running side by side, they're still about a 10th quicker than the 3rd place car, Dale Jarrett.
Now Rusty has the edge at turn 4.
Yep, making that outside work for him. You get that thing down on the inside unless you really got it where you can get back in the throttle hard. Takes a lot of power to pull up out of that hole.
Yeah, buddy, nice job.
Wallace holds the lead. Rudd, Jarrett, Gordon, Stewart, Benson. Speeds at the line. Gordon quickest. No? Steve Park quickest. Jeff?
Mike, one thing we were talking about earlier, what was happening with Tony Stewart. I talked to Greg Zipadelli and several crew chiefs, Tony Urey on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. They all said under race conditions, when they dropped the air pressure down, it took about 8 to 10 laps for the tires to really hook up, and they had to be real careful not to get themselves in trouble. So that may be what's going on with the 20 car. You get the pressure down to get that forward bite off the corner, and those rear tires, it takes a while for them to come around and kind of get the car going back the other way.
And I know the fans are probably asking, well, why do they drop them down then if it takes that long to come in? But what you're looking for is the long run.
Oh, yeah.
How the tires are 50 laps, 60 laps into a run.
Yeah, because the give up, man, big trouble.
Turn 3, one car up against the wall, and Jerry Nadeau has shortened up the rear end of his second car of the weekend. He had a similar crash at turn 2 in practice. Now we were talking about fuel mileage. Dale Earnhardt Jr. went 112 laps, which included 5 laps of caution plus the 4 pace laps before he pitted for the first time.
And we've only run 13 laps since that last caution. Just remember, these caution laps, they will help fuel mileage.
Not sure if there was anything between John Andretti and Jerry Nadeau, but Nadeau ending up in the fence at turn 3. Now he did crash in practice, and then here is the second lap of qualifying for Nadeau, actually quicker than his first lap, even with the car going around. So he did time trial into the field. It's been a tough weekend at Richmond for Nadeau.
Talked to his group. This is the car that he ran 4th with in the Winston a year ago, and also Ricky Hendrick drove this car in an ARCA race at Charlotte in October. It was their backup car for here.
They got a lot of work to do, but they got a week to get it ready for Charlotte.
Everybody calculating fuel mileage under the lights and the full moon at Richmond International Raceway. 101 laps to go.
Everson, Robin, and you can run the rest this way. What's your strategy for the end of this race?
I don't think there is any right yet. There's 200 laps. There's still a long way to go. We'll see what happens.
Let's go to Jeannie.
Well, we're climbing up here. with Dale Jarrett's crew chief, Todd Parrott. Of course, he's talking to his driver, so we will respect that and give him one moment. Todd, we're trying to figure out, can you go the rest of the way? What's the strategy?
Yeah, we can make it the rest of the way. So we'll see what happens here.
What's the plan, though? Oh, no. See, just in time. He had to go back to work. We won't get the plan, but we know he can make it the rest of the way.
That's because we're going green, Jeannie. Green flag back out at lap 303.
97 laps to go. Warren Burton, that 22 car, he'd like to get that lap back. He's going to have a strong horse, DW, to get by Rusty Wallace, though.
Yeah, those that 2 car and that 28 car, both those cars are bad fast right now.
Let's go to Tony Stewart's pit, Matt.
Well, Mike, Greg Zippinelli's car, the 20 car of Tony Stewart, restarted in 5th. Greg, how long will it take for your car to come in?
We're down a little bit on air pressure. It seems like it takes about 15, 20 laps for it to come around. I hope we don't give up too much on the front side here with only 100 to go.
And fuel will not be a concern. They can go the distance.
Thanks, Matt.
Just to update you, we must have had 5 or 6 cars that was a little concerned about the fuel, because under that caution, Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, Steve Park, Jimmy Spencer, Casey Atwood, Dale Earnhardt Jr., they came into pits, got 4 tires, except Sterling Marlin, just a little bit of fuel only. So these cars should be able to go the distance now.
Probably borderline on some of those guys, and I think it's borderline on the leaders. But I also think they can make it all right.
Yeah, we run those cautions on this 3/4 mile racetrack. Darrell, I always figured 3 cautions is like 1 green lap.
Those pit stops were a break for Bobby Labonte and Ken Schrader, who were behind most of those cars, but now take this restart 10th and 11th.
Now watch the difference in the, here you go down the back straightaway, you see 8,400 there look like, down to about 5,600 in the turn. Now watch how much more you turn down the front straightaway here. 83, 88, almost 8,900, 84, 85 into the turn into the back. Now watch how much gets on the brakes right here.
Got a motor problem.
Stays on them, tries to get off of them. Now he's off.
And Jarrett is dropping back a bit. Gordon there. Jarrett looks to the inside, but a big gap has opened up between this battle and the leaders.
Boy, if he's got a motor problem, it's not a very bad one. That doesn't appear to be. Coming off turn 4, start down the front straightaway. Let's see if we can see any
Hair of it there. That one don't have
He's turning the same RPMs he was turning.
He's got 8,900, so she's not struggling too bad.
Turn up high with you. We're low.
Now Stewart looking low on Jarrett.
Trying to hear it. I don't hear anything. The engine's running clean. I think they may just be warning him about, I heard him say it doesn't have a chip in it. Means it doesn't have a rev limiter in it, and they probably don't want to turn the thing too much right at this point.
And what the rev limiter chip will do, they can change that chip. They put a 9,000 chip, 8,900 chip, and when it gets that RPMs, it actually kill a cylinder or 2.
Smooth drive like to be going all night.
Let's check with Dick.
While you guys were talking about the chips in the car, Robin Pemberton, who is Rusty Wallace crew chief, says after a race where Rusty's got a shot to win it, they take a look at the floorboards of the car, and invariably they find the chip that's supposed to be in the ignition system. Rusty's figured out a way to lean over from the cockpit of the car, grab the thing right out of the ignition system, pull it out, get himself still some more RPM. I bet that chip's floating around on the floorboards right now.
But you know also, Darrell, what teams will do, these cars have 2 ignition systems, and the reason sometimes they'll swap ignition systems late in the race, it'll have a higher rev limiter chip in that particular ignition system.
Exactly. When it comes showtime, buddy, you turn off everything, including the rev limiter. Junior Johnson always told me, said, boy, I don't want nothing on my car to slow it down.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. just got past Johnny Benson for 6th place.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was one of the cars that pitted about 14 laps ago into that last caution and got 4 tires.
And remember, he was a strong contender, won this race last year. Hadn't heard a lot out of him, but he's lurking there, and he's been in the pits, got fresh tires.
Speaking of lurking, look at Ricky Rudd on the bottom side of this racetrack in that 28 car.
He gets off of turn 4 so well. Down on the bottom, in the throttle. That's really where he's strong. Rusty seems to be a little better, maybe off the 2 or about the same, but Ricky really eats him up off of turn 4.
Well, if you have a choice, that's the turn that leads to the finish line. Wallace, Rudd, Gordon, Jarrett, and Stewart. Then a little gap, Earnhardt Jr. and Benson. We'll be right back. 78 laps to go at Richmond. Here's where your Koch family of drivers sits in the point standings after the 10 races completed. Jarrett, of course, the point leader. Rudd, Park, Stewart in the top 10. And a look back through the Koch family of drivers. Rusty Wallace, your leader. Ricky Rudd is right there, and Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart have caught them.
But how about that red Budweiser car, that 5th place car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Last 10 laps, Darrell, we've been watching this scoring monitor. He's one of the fastest race cars out there.
He's been closing up on the leaders in a hurry.
Trouble for Kenny Wallace.
Now he's off on the apron over there. Looks like he's taking it to the garage.
And Kenny is going to the garage. Second race this year that Eel River Racing team has had a sponsor. And Wallace will join Ricky Craven, Andy Houston, and Jerry Nadeau in the garage. Dick Berggren.
Well, you guys were talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. a couple minutes ago. He had just about his entire crew rolling on the floor, and you're talking about the car. They asked him how he liked it. He said, well, I like it a lot. It's loose. It's real loose, but I like it a lot as we're watching the leads side by side.
Boy, it's more than side by side. It's 2 by 2 with Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind him. And there's 74 laps to go. And look at these guys.
On short track Saturday nights, this is what we call 4 cars under a blanket.
And 2 lurking behind. Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dale Jarrett.
On your corner inside.
And that outside, I mean, you got to have the whole track to make that pass when you're down underneath somebody. Or else you got to use them up a little bit.
Tony Stewart is the one car that gained on that. He's moving underneath Gordon for 3rd, but there's a lapped car ahead. Brett Bodine stays well out of the way, and Stewart will hold that 3rd spot.
Tony Stewart's car, just after several laps, 10 or 15, you heard Zipadelli say, here he comes. His car's getting better and better and better. He's going to work his way right around these guys.
And out of these 6 cars, Darrell, he's the only car that's working on the bottom of the racetrack.
Seen him do that here last year, and he just gets his car working good down there. When it comes in for him, boy, it takes off.
Now, Steve Park also stopped for tires not long ago, and he's climbed back to 11th place.
And we also heard one of the big reasons he pitted wasn't so much because of lack of maybe the fuel mileage. He was not happy with that race car.
And Dale Jr.'s trying to get by Gordon as they go down into turn 1 here. There he is.
4th place.
Side of him. Accelerates up out of that corner really good. Man, we got racing going on everywhere.
Yeah, good battles even back at 50.
Whoa, Junebug, not too much. Drove her in there under him, and she almost got up into the side of Gordon.
Yeah, we saw Kenny Schrader and Casey Atwood side by side for 15th, so it's getting pretty racy here with 70 laps to go. There they are. Engine failure has put Kenny Wallace in the garage, we're told.
Tony Stewart's taking a look on the inside of Ricky Rudd there, going down into turn 3. I tell you another guy that's come in this race. He's lurking right there behind these guys. Johnny Benson.
Benson's been hanging around the top half dozen all night.
You know, it's funny. These same guys end up at the front every week. Race along, race along. You don't talk about Johnny Benson much. You don't talk about some of these guys, Dale Jarrett. All of a sudden, they're up there racing for the lead.
That's the reason they're up there in the points as well.
Exactly right.
Miller Lite cam from Rusty looking back at Ricky Rudd, 1st to 2nd place.
Outside, it's clear. Clear all around.
Blaney, Johnny Benson, and Dale Jarrett. Matt?
Mike, Johnny Benson has struggled all weekend trying to dial in this 10 car. In fact, right before the race, crew chief James Ince told me they made so many changes: shock, springs, sway bar, truck arms, noseway, wedge, you name it, they did it. They were going to gamble. They said it would either be a very long night or they would get lucky. Looks like they're getting lucky because Johnny has finally found the handle of that race car.
Well, you got to be good to be lucky.
Well, and the thing about it is you go around all day on Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday, all day, finding out what everybody else is doing. And then you throw a little of that at your car as well if you kind of get lost.
Tony Stewart in that 20 car, that right front rotor, we've really seen it glowing. He's really using this race car right now, running the bottom. His car really comes off the corner, but he's really driving it down in the corner, reason those rotors are glowing. Look at the right front rotor glowing.
And not only that, he's tucked right in behind Ricky Rudd. That takes any air that might be flowing into those brake ducts off of that thing. So he's got to get around these guys, got to get around them pretty quick. And he knows that.
65 laps to go. No more pit stops unless there's a caution. Gas mileage may be a little questionable on some cars. It's going to be close, but they make this through.
Inside on your corner. Inside, clear.
Now Ricky had to kind of lift up a little bit to keep him running in the back of Rusty, and when he did, here come Tony Stewart.
Look at Tony Stewart all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Inside, clear.
Ricky Rudd on that high side, though, kept that momentum. He's not ready to give this position up. Tony Stewart all the way to the bottom again. Got a little bit loose right there when he jumped back in the throttle off turn 4.
Rudd can't give it up, Larry. If he gives it up, he'll never get it back.
No, this is for the marbles here, boys. That outside line, that good traction, that good forward bite they get up high back there is really paying off for Ricky Rudd.
63 laps to go. Wallace, Rudd, Stewart, Gordon. Who's going to win the Pontiac Excitement 400? 57 laps to go here at Richmond. Next Saturday, Mother's Day weekend, the NASCAR Busch Series in action on FX at New Hampshire International Speedway. If you're buying tickets, come on up. The Busch North Series is in action too in the doubleheader, but we'll have the Busch Series at 12:30 Eastern Time for you right here on FX a week from today. Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Johnny Benson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Jarrett, Steve Park, Jeff Burton, and Matt Kenseth are the top 10.
As long as Ricky and Tony Stewart race each other, Rusty can get away a little bit. As soon as they quit racing each other, they can catch right back up to Rusty. So what Tony Stewart needs to do is lay off of Ricky here for a few laps and let him see if he can do anything with Rusty. Rusty's car slows down a little bit at the end of these long runs.
Only 4 cars out of the race. Ricky Craven, Andy Houston, Jerry Nadeau, and the man who's with Jeannie in the garage.
Kenny Wallace wondering if Geico can come replace his motor right away. What happened? All of a sudden we saw you pull back here to the garage area.
Well, the Geico Auto Parts auto insurance car blew up. It's really loud down here. I just want to thank Geico Auto Insurance. You know, we came here unsponsored. It's a big race for us. We run good 17th or 18th, but this little lizard was supposed to bring us good luck, and it didn't. I hope everybody got some good in-car shots showing my feet and my hands.
We did enjoy the work. You going to be back next week? Or the week after, I should say. What's your future hold?
My future's so bright, it's ridiculous. I don't know, man. I'm just racing my heart out. You know, we need to sign this Geico Auto Insurance up to help us out, and we'll be at Charlotte, but I can't thank everybody enough for getting us here enough. For anybody that thinks there's any hard feelings between me and Andy Petrie, I just found out before the race that they were going to feel a car for me if I wasn't going to be able to come here. So everything's great. We'll be all right.
All right, we look forward to seeing you in Charlotte then. Thanks.
That's pretty neat. He left Andy Petrie Racing at the end of last season to drive for this Jack Birmingham-owned team.
And Tony just now got around the 28 car. I think that spells bad news for Rusty Wallace.
Inside is clear, clear all around.
We got 50 laps to go, and we're going to see if Rusty can hold him off for a while. But I just don't know. Tony's awfully strong off the corner.
And Darrell, it won't be but just a few laps. They're going to catch a lot of lap cars that could play a role in this as well.
Rusty's car looks really good. I mean, you couldn't ask for a car to be better, but Tony's car just got like it's got more gear in it almost. It jumps up off the corner so hard.
Let's see how Fox Tracks can tell us where Stewart is better than Wallace. Looks like Rusty's a little better getting into turn 1.
Right there. That's where he's so strong coming up off the bottom of turn 2.
Man, I tell you, he launches out there. Sometimes you think something happened to the car in front of him.
Seems to lose just a little bit down that front stretch, but right here, watch turn 2.
Boy, look at that thing. Look at that thing come up out of there.
He chopped a half a second, almost over a second. Look at there.
And every bit of that was on exit.
Jeff?
Again, guys, let's go back and think about what Greg Zipadelli said early on. Hey, we drop a lot of air pressure out of our tires for the long run. And this is where this car is really starting to become really strong. It's toward the end of this run.
And the thing that'll do, Jeff, is it'll give it that forward bite. We heard him complain a little bit about forward bite early in the race. Drop that air way down, and that thing will get a bite up off the corner.
And it's showing so big right now because he can get back in that throttle at will and drive it up off the corner. And you've got to be able to do it here at Richmond if you want to win.
Gordon working on Rudd on the inside.
Yeah, I believe Rudd used his stuff up trying to hold Stewart off. I think he just kept driving it down in there, and I think he's probably used his stuff up.
Johnny Benson in that 10 car, he's getting stronger as we get into this long run here with about 45 laps to go. He's all over the back bumper of Jeff Gordon in that 24.
Gordon trying to take advantage of Rudd, almost got taken advantage of with Benson on the bottom. Let's ride along with Johnny.
Boy, Benson is just having a great run. He has caught these guys, and he's been right there. He's a little quicker than they are.
He's just having a great year. He comes to Richmond third in the points. These guys, they're there every week.
Here goes Stewart. He's looking the inside of Rusty down into turn 3.
Just quarter inside.
Last time they got side by side like this, there was a little paint swapped.
Also side by side for third. But for the lead, Stewart edges ahead of Wallace out of turn 2, where he's been so strong on this racetrack.
They got cars running side by side everywhere, but when you don't have the whole racetrack, when you're pinned down to the very bottom of the racetrack, it makes it difficult to get up out of those corners. So when you can use the whole track, then you can get back in the gas and let it float out next to the wall.
Now the lap car ahead is Wallace's teammate Mayfield, but it'll be about 4 or 5 laps before they catch him.
Side by side for first, they're side by side for fourth. Side by side everywhere.
Stewart eventually should win this battle. The way his car gets up off of the corner over there, I believe that he'll eventually wear him down.
Jeff Gordon took fourth, or held fourth, against Johnny Benson. And Stewart now half a car length up on Rusty going into turn 3.
Well, Rusty knows right now if he ever gets around him, it's all over. So he's got to give it all he's got.
Right there seems to be Rusty's strong point, though, off turn 4. He pulled him just a little bit. Back down into turn 1 and 2. Tony Stewart all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Gets that bite up off the corner.
He needs the whole racetrack to be able to get it wide open and make that pass. If he could ever get ahead of Rusty over there where he could come up in front of him, he could complete the pass.
All the more reason why Rusty can't let him clear him.
Rusty looks mighty calm in there, and he's mighty cool. Doesn't seem to be worried. Not fighting that car. You couldn't ask for his car to be any better.
How much fun is it, Darrell, to be in one of these two cars right now?
Well, right now they're having a great time as long as they mind their manners, but I'm sure Rusty is still thinking about the last time Stewart was down under him like that. Whoa. Rusty got loose that time.
Maybe all Tony Stewart needs to head off into turn 1 right here. He's going to clear him. He takes the lead.
That opened the door. It's all over now. I think that Tony will probably just drive on away now. See, he gets the whole racetrack. He can move over.
38 laps to go.
Oh, Wallace comes under him. Can't get it done.
They some cars want a caution. Tony Stewart does not want a caution.
32 laps to go. 7 cautions so far on a full moon Saturday night at Richmond. Tony Stewart leading Rusty Wallace by 0.7 of a second. Ricky Rudd, Jeff Gordon, Johnny Benson. Larry, if a caution would come out, knowing what we know about Tony Stewart's car taking 15 laps or so to come up to full speed, if we get another caution and you're the leader, do you stop?
Well, and right here, Mike, we're in that window where it's tough. 30 to go to about 10 or 12 to go. That is a tough decision. You've got about 16 cars on the lead lap. Jeff Hammond, that would be a tough call. But these guys, they've got 70 laps on those tires, and tires are very important here. But as you well know, you have lap traffic to contend with too.
It's going to get down to that nail-biting time. This is, like I say, that's what you get paid the big bucks for, to make the decisions. If I'm the crew chief in any of these pits, and I'm on the lead lap, I've got 2 sets of tires sitting there. I've got one sitting recommended in case it's a real short run. I've got one maybe 3 or 4 pounds down, where before I may have been 8 or 9 pounds down in long race trim. you have your tires situated so if you do come to pit road, you pick a set of tires out so that you can get out for a short run, be prepared for that. And again, if you're leading a race, you're sitting there thinking, boy, I don't want to come at all, and I'm hoping I don't get a caution.
And there's no question, Greg Cimpadelli with Tony Stewart, those guys definitely would have to put air pressure in their tires because we know it takes a while for their car to hook up, as we've talked about.
Larry, you know, when we talked to the Goodyear engineers earlier this week, they said this particular tire takes, 3 to 4 laps to get enough heat in it to get grip in it. So that air pressure is going to be real important if they do have a late caution.
Now, Tony Stewart is getting into lap traffic, and he's about to come up on lead lap cars, beginning with Jimmy Spencer and then Casey Atwood. Darrell, if the caution comes out, do you want tires or do you want to stay out?
I'd stay out. I'd make the guys behind me. I'd stay out, and that would force some of the cars to stay out with me. Then some of the other cars at the back maybe would try to come down pit road, and I don't think they'd have time to catch me.
Let's see if this traffic works to Wallace's advantage. Fox Track showing you the instantaneous interval between Stewart and Rusty.
It's just so good. I mean, he can drive to the bottom. He goes in and kind of diamonds the corner off. And he's got such great forward bite now, accelerating out of the corner, that it's hard to slow him down. Rusty's the one that'll have more problem, I think. And none of these guys are going to give up real easily. I mean, they're trying to stay on the lead lap. 25 laps to go here.
Now, Steve Park's tires are fresher than most. About 18 laps fresher than most of the cars that he's battling.
Yeah, that steering wheel smoking then when he come off the corner.
And certainly this late in the run, that's where those 18 fewer laps on those tires could definitely make a difference.
Yeah, that was a good move on those guys to come when they did the last time.
Sterling Marlin, the highest placed Dodge in this race, still in 12th, where he's been much of the evening, battling Jeff Burton. Actually, that's for 11th. Marlin moves to 11th.
He just passed Burton for 11th. So Sterling's not having necessarily a great night, but it's a real consistent run for him. It's going to keep him up in the points.
Pole sitter Mark Martin right behind those two, now running in 13th. The other lead lap cars are Schrader, Atwood, and Spencer. Spencer in danger of going a lap down to Stewart.
Stewart is closing up on the back of Spencer down the back straightaway, and I think he is going to go a lap down. Tony got through that traffic. Stewart got through that traffic so easy.
He actually
just handling great.
He actually increased his lead, Darrell. It's a full second now over Rusty Wallace. Jeff?
One thing we haven't talked a lot about tonight are the spotters here on the short track. But you can imagine right now, Tony Stewart's spotter is running up and down in that spotting stand, telling all these guys that are coming up on, hey, cut us some slack. We're leading the race. Help us here. Help us here. Just so that he doesn't get slowed down by the lap traffic.
Benson, Park, and Jarrett battling for 5th. Steve Park had a run under Johnny Benson, and Jarrett closed right up on the two of them.
Well, we got 20 laps to go, and like I said, everybody's battling for all they're worth right now. These guys have been out there for 3 hours, and this is not an easy racetrack. Everybody's getting tired. Cars are slipping around a little bit.
Yeah, the big difference between this and your local short track Saturday night 20-lap shootout is these fellows have already run 380 laps. And Park, under Benson, may make it work here for 5th place.
Well, he drove it in there, and he's going to put the slide job on him. He just put the big slide right on him.
That opened the door for Jarrett as you ride with Dale.
Jarrett says, let me see, do I want to try that? Yeah, I'm the point leader. I better not try that.
And Darrell, this late in the race, you forget about your rotors glowing. You go and use what you got about those brakes.
Yep.
6th place.
This is that time, as I like to say, stop working your mouth and start working your hands, because it's all over now.
Benson holds off Jarrett for 6th.
And that's, as a crew chief, that's what I tell the drivers.
Right.
Because unless we get a caution, you got what you got. I can't fix a thing now.
Don't tell me about your problems. I can't do nothing for you. I ain't your daddy. Now go.
When you get back.
Stewart's lead on Wallace is now up to 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And Rusty has his hands full with Jeff Gordon.
Should we not get a caution now? Remember, Tony Stewart, he was on pit road at lap 282. That's 118 laps. That's a little borderline. But remember, 10 to 11 of those laps was run under caution, so he should be safe even in the in fuel, Jeff Hammond.
I don't believe fuel's an issue. I really don't. But the guy out front, I know how those guys do their fuel mileage. I don't believe Greg Zipadelli would make a mistake like that, not with a car like he had tonight.
Gordon and Wallace, this is second place. And Gordon kept wearing and wearing Rusty down and finally found some room on the inside.
Yeah, Rusty's car at the end of the 100 laps has been slowed down quite a bit. And we're talking about, should I try to put the slide job on him? No, but you sure don't want to do that either.
Boy, he had his hands full. Look at his hands in there fighting that thing.
Man, that's a great save. I mean, he had the thing underneath of him trying to make the pass, but it almost bit him, and there goes Dale Jr. by.
No pressure from behind.
So Jarrett battling for 6th. Slides back to 8th.
That's when you'd like to have a little bit more grip, but the old tires just won't take it.
Let's watch on board Dale Jarrett as that happened.
That was a great save.
It was.
A lot of momentum. You see Dale Earnhardt Jr. and 8 car go by him while he was trying to gather it back up. See Dale Jarrett's right front rotor starting to really glow there. Again, we've got about 12 laps to go. You don't worry about those things now.
No, your tires are pretty well gone now, and you're just really driving it down in there and slamming on the brakes and kind of get it woed up and keep it on the track.
Now in front of Johnny Benson, Mike Skinner in the Lowe's 31 and Elliott Sadler are battling side by side.
And of course, if you're Benson, this is the worst thing you can see right here. I mean, you need to be trying to close up on those lead cars, and you're being held up by these lap cars.
Now they're 2 laps down.
You know, they're racing each other 2 laps down, but they're battling each other. They're on the same lap together, and any position is important.
And Dale Jr., here's Dale Jr., though. He's caught right up, and here goes Park. Whoa.
Oh, those 18 laps are starting to show. 18 laps less on his tires than Steve Park has. Park tested here in his Busch car, and he was quick in practice in the Winston Cup car. He said, we really found something with the Busch car that works, and we're going to put it under the Cup car, and we think we're going to be real good here tonight. And he's up to 4th place.
He's been fast all weekend.
There's the serial scoring on Steve Park.
I got a feeling that Park's going to be able to catch Rusty, and he might just be able to put that slide job on Rusty he's been putting on these other guys.
He's got 9 laps left to do it.
But he's about 3/10 of a lap quicker than Rusty right now.
Well, everybody's really working hard off turn 4 and off turn 2. The cars are really starting to slide around and get loose.
The 13th place or 14th place car, Jeff Burton, going a lap down to Tony Stewart, who now moves up.
Oh, trouble over here in turn 4.
Blaney in the wall.
No caution. No caution yet.
There's got to be a caution. I mean, he's going to stay up against that wall.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
Leader out of turn 2. Casey Atwood's going to hold on the lead lap here as they come to caution. Jeff Burton may get one back, or maybe Schrader. Or maybe both of them. Burton pulls underneath. Here comes Schrader. And they both get back on the lead lap. 7 laps to go as the caution comes out for Dave Blaney.
All right, there's 7 laps to go. I don't know if they would have enough time to do it, but Darrell, we've seen this a lot of the last couple of years. NASCAR throw a red flag, they get this racetrack cleaned up where we can have some green flag racing.
Well, I don't think this, I think that car is capable of being moved pretty quickly here. I can't imagine they'd stop the race at this point.
6 laps to go. Tony Stewart trying to hurry the pace car there. Here's what happened to Dave Blaney.
See, here goes Blaney driving off there.
So Blaney drives away with severe damage to the right front of his car. Caution out. It's going to be 5 to go, and the pace car has stopped to the roar of the crowd.
The fans love it. We'll see green flag racing at the end of this race.
Now, the pace car stopped to let the track truck out to put down to do a little cleanup work there at turn 4.
Yeah, I just don't. The track's not that bad. There's nothing really to worry about, I don't think.
Terry Labonte got a win in 1998 here in this type of situation. The red flag is not out. However, the pace car and the field have stopped.
And Blaney is going by. Here's Blaney right here. He's come all the way around the racetrack. trying to get it back in the garage. So I think they're just checking the track before they bring them around, and when they bring them around, they give them one to go.
Talk about a shootout. Get all your bullets and get your guns loaded, because we're about to have one here at Richmond International Raceway in the Pontiac Excitement 400. The red flag is out at Richmond International Raceway. We have completed 394 laps. The field was stopped at turn 3 for cleanup in turn 4, and so that we wouldn't use up another lap coming by the caution once again, because NASCAR has full intention of getting this race back under green to finish off the 400 laps. That's provoked a little conversation down on pit road amongst the teams and officials.
He's trying to explain to them why they did that.
Well, look at how many people are in this grandstand, and it's easy to see.
This is Brian Dehart, the NASCAR official. He's talking to Greg Cimpadelli right now, Tony Stewart's crew chief. This is one fella that he don't want to see this situation going on. He wants to see caution laps being run right now.
But now here you have to applaud NASCAR. They could have just run off the 6 laps and ended this race under caution. Everyone would have gone home having seen a great race. But if it's at all possible, they want to try to finish under green, and that's what we're going to try to do here, with Stewart leading, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, Steve Park 4th, Ricky Rudd in 5th. The rest of the lead lap cars are Johnny Benson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Jarrett, Matt Kenseth, Bobby Labonte, and Sterling Marlin. Then Mark Martin, Casey Atwood, and getting back on the lead lap were Jeff Burton, Kenny Schrader. Those are the lead lap cars, 15 of them. The Tough Man Heavyweight Finals. I think we're seeing it here, but there's a show by that name on FX right after the race.
Well, let's see if they give them one to go as they come by here. That would be my guess. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Remember, we're within that 10-lap window, so no matter when they get the one to go, it will be what we call a down finger restart. It will be single file restart with only lead lap cars to the front.
Now, Rick Mast's car has not restarted out in turn 3.
See, that's the downside to stopping the cars. You never know how the cars are going to start.
There are push trucks moving into position. So
they're not giving one to go, so
I think they got to at least get all the cars rolling and moving before we could certainly give one to go.
So now, at least 2 more laps of caution, which would mean we could have 3 laps left of green. Let's go trackside to Chris Myers and Jeff Hammond.
All right. Well, Jeff, you picked Tony Stewart, so you're a little bit frustrated about the decision-making here.
I'm telling you. Well, understand one thing. I've been around racing for a long time. I'm not used to the way they're doing things now. Normally, if a caution flag comes out, you wouldn't have this situation. Now you got cars like the 88 car. He may be out of gas right now. You never know about this. This is a bad situation when you run this hard all night long. Jeannie, what do you think about this?
You're exactly right. It was just moments ago when Dale Jarrett said, hey, how much longer are we going to be sitting here because fuel is a concern for me? And the ironic part is he's directly across from his pit, and there's nothing his guys can do for him because he is out of gas.
Get on the flat, DJ. Come on down, come on down. Quick lid around a little bit.
Trying to get some fuel in the fuel cell to the fuel pickup so that car will run.
And the fuel pickup is in the right rear corner, so sometimes when you're not going at high speed and G-force is slinging the fuel over that corner, you won't pick up all the fuel. Dale Jarrett was on pit road at lap 282, which was about 113 laps ago.
They should use a big brown truck to push him.
Well, that's what they look like they got going on right now, Chris. But as Larry's saying, when the cars are running, there may be another gallon of gas in that race car, but because it's sat there and got back down with the foam that's inside the fuel cell, it needs to be basically forced over to the right-hand side of the car where the pickup is to get the car refired, and he would probably have enough to complete the other 5 laps here.
Well, see, they can't restart the race as long as they're pushing him around here. They got him out on the racetrack.
Ready, I'm on drive.
Also, Mike Skinner is being pushed down in turn 2.
Man.
Now, this is fair because the cars stopped running past the entrance to pit road. So all they're doing is pushing them back around to the pits. Remember, once the white flag comes out, you can't receive any assistance on the racetrack.
And since he had to come to pit road, they're going to go ahead and put 4 tires on him. Probably not going to have time to use them.
He had to have 4 tires. He's riding around on the apron. He'd have got all that debris and stuff on the tires. He couldn't have taken off. It'd taken him 3 laps to get them cleaned off. So just a number of issues here.
And it's hard to give them one to go until they park these records. Matt?
Greg Zipadelli is Tony Stewart's crew chief. What did NASCAR tell you? You had several conversations with them.
I was just arguing because I didn't want them to stop and go to red. I hate to finish under yellow, but after the season we've had here, and as good a cars we have, I hate to give it up at the end there. We'll just Tony will have to dig deep here and get a good restart, and hopefully we can bring this home for Home Depot and Pontiac here tonight in this Pontiac Excitement 400.
Pontiac still looking for their first win this season, Mike.
Thanks, Matt. Stewart and Gordon nose to tail. Remember the last time that happened on a short track, Bristol, Tennessee, last lap? Need I remind anybody?
No, but could be a replay because I believe Gordon on a restart. I believe Gordon on the restart is going to be a little bit better than Stewart.
Bristol, Tennessee. They were racing, I believe, for 4th place during the race and afterwards.
We have received the 1 to go. We're going to have a 2-lap shootout. Remember, single file restart. You see these guys wiggling these cars back and forth, Darrell. That's so important because they got to get these tires cleaned off.
You got to get the tires cleaned off. They're low on fuel. I mean, so many things you have to take into consideration when you leave the cars out there like this.
A lot of people had headed for the parking lot, and the caution came out. They've all run back in. They've not gone to their seats, though. You have lined the fence to see what happens in these final 2 laps.
Well, this is an ingredient for a disaster.
And guys, don't forget, I know we only got 2 laps to go, but that car in 4th place, that yellow car, Steve Park, remember, he has a little fresher tires than anybody, and he was fast. I don't know if he was as fast as Tony Stewart, but he was definitely better than Rusty Wallace that's right in front of him.
Yeah, he might be able to get by Rusty, but I don't believe he can get by all the way to the front, unless these guys really get crazy down here.
Stewart easing it, bringing him slow off turn 4, and now he's on the gas, and we've got just 2 laps.
Gordon got a terrible restart. I believe he spun the tires when he took off.
Rusty Wallace pulls to the inside. That 2-car, Steve Park's coming. He carries him all the way up. Park's right there.
Wrecking down the front.
They stay green. Todd Bodine got spun, but we keep going. We're under green with 1 lap to go, and they come back.
Look at Rusty all over the rear bumper, that 24 car.
Gordon got such a terrible restart, and it really cost him a shot at getting up there and getting after Stewart.
Last lap.
There's a Park right there. Got a shot at getting under Rusty off of 2 over here. Can't quite make it happen. Park spinning down the back straightaway.
No matter. Checkered flag in the win. Tony Stewart, 10th career victory, first of the season. That was Elliott Sadler spinning down the backstretch as a lot of wild things happened in the last 2 laps.
Well, that's basically what that's all about. When you stop them over there and get them lined up like that for a shootout, that's just kind of a preview of the next week's race. Winston coming up.
Tony Stewart's first win came here at Richmond in September '99. In his last 3 races, a win, a 4th, and a 2nd.
This is Rusty Wallace. He's pointing at Jeff Gordon. They've been side by side ever since they checkered flag, having a little conversation with each other.
Good job. Good job.
Short tracks, short sprint to the finish equals short tempers.
Yes, it does. And of course, what happened there again, Gordon didn't take off. I think he spun his rear tires. That let Rusty get alongside of him going down in the first turn. Got old tires on the cars. They kind of got together down there. That's just one of those racing things. I don't believe anybody should be upset about that.
Well, donuts, crullers, just smoking up right down the straightaway.
That thing will never make it if he keeps winding her up like that.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
Holding 3 fingers out the window, Tony Stewart embarks on the Polish victory lap, made famous by Alan Kulwicki, as he salutes the memory of Dale Earnhardt and celebrates his first victory of 2001.
This is after the race.
Ooh.
And he gives him a little tap.
Oh, he brake checked him.
And Jeff's arms out the window. And there's Rusty's response. Steve?
These guys are the ones fixing the cars. We don't need to fucking pump them. Hey, I hadn't seen you.
Rusty, what'd you say to Jeff?
Get out of here. I don't want to talk about stuff. What did I say to Jeff? What's that mean?
Just now. We're talking to Jeff Gordon.
Well, I had a great race today. I led the most laps. We finished third, and we gained a lot of points on Jarrett, and that was a big thing for me today. I was real happy with the car. And, man, I tell you, it's got too loose at the very end there, and I fell from the lead to third. There's not much I could do about it.
Let's go to Matt.
Well, Jeff Gordon has climbed from his car. Jeff, what about your conversation with Rusty?
Well, you know, he body slammed me pretty bad there at the last corner. And, I mean, it was just racing, but I was a little mad at him, you know. Thought it was a little uncalled for. You know, he got a good restart, and he got underneath me, but there's no reason for him to just slam me all the way up in the other lane. But DuPont Chevrolet was great today. I mean, I thought we had a shot at winning there at the end. You never knew what could have happened, you know, with the old tires like that on the restart. We might have had a shot at him, but we'll never know now. But just really proud of Rob and these guys. They worked hard, come home with another runner-up finish. You know, it's a good point today for us. We're real happy.
What was Rusty's response?
Oh, well, he's mad at me because of what happened afterwards, because I just thought it was uncalled for what he did, you know, going in there. He said, hey, you know, I just drove in there and couldn't stop and drove into you. And, you know, that's just, I guess, short track racing with 2 to go.
That is short track racing. Mike?
It's kind of nice they can smile about it afterwards, at least for the cameras.
I was proud of Rusty. Now, you know, he didn't jump. He said, oh, my car ran good, and you could tell he was hot, and but he moved on. But that last couple of laps there is just ingredients for disaster when you stop the cars like that and then ask these guys to race for the win. It's a wonder that they didn't have a few more tempers flaring.
Our MBNA winner's circle in the Pontiac Excitement 400, occupied by Tony Stewart and Joe Gibbs Racing. It's his first win since Homestead last October. Second Richmond win in 5 starts here. He's finished in the top 8, 4 of those 5 races, and he's the 9th different winner in 2001. Also, it's the first time Pontiac's been to victory lane this season. And it's Tony Stewart's 3rd short track win.
That's going to make going up to Indy tomorrow a little more fun for him,
I'd say. Dick Berggren is there.
Well, thanks for the math, Tony Stewart. Congratulations on a great run. What were you thinking when that caution flag came out at the end?
NASCAR's going to take it away from me. I didn't need to see that. I mean, the last 2 laps, the car slid around all over the place, but I tried to think of every restart I knew in the book and everything I've learned in 23 years on how to get a good restart with a couple laps to go like that, and I think it worked.
September 1999, you led 333 laps at this thing out of 400. The last 2 races last year, you almost won those. Now you have won this thing again. What is it about you at Richmond? What have you figured out about this place?
I tell you what, Dale Earnhardt taught me a lot about this place. I followed him a lot of laps here, and he just flat wear you out. I mean, you'd think you were going to beat him and pass him and go on, and the next thing you know, he'd run back on you. So you learn how to save your tires, and you learn how to not abuse your equipment around here. So I learned a lot from him here.
All right, congratulations. We're going to go to Jeannie.
And we're going to join Steve Park right now, obviously getting a lot of questions coming to the end of this race. The second time this season we see a caution coming out when you had a great opportunity. What were you thinking?
Man, we were just hoping the caution wouldn't come out. Thanks, DJ, man. We were just hoping the caution wouldn't come out, and I think we could have gained 1 or 2 more positions because we were coming on strong, and those guys were slipping and sliding on some hot tires. So, but all in all, great Saturday night. Just want to thank Pennzoil, Jim Postal, Paul Andrews, Chevrolet, and Goodyear. I mean, we just got a great race team here, and we've stumbled the last couple weeks, and hopefully we got it turned around now.
Fresh tires helped to the good finish. Mike Joy?
Thanks, Jeannie. Big celebration down there in victory lane for Tony Stewart with his first win of the season. Last 4 races, they've been right on their game. We'll be back to Richmond to wrap things up after this. Our Pontiac winning moment occurred at lap 362 as Tony Stewart dropped underneath Rusty Wallace and made good the pass for the lead that would take him to victory. Pontiac Grand Prix congratulates Joe Gibbs Racing and the Wide Track Attack team on yet another victory. Wider is better. And a wild finish with a 2-lap shootout. Here at Richmond International, Stewart, Gordon, Wallace, Park, Rudd, the front 5, Benson, Earnhardt Jr., Kenseth, Schrader, Labonte.
Ken Schrader stayed on the lead lap all night, comes home ninth.
Yeah, Pontiac had a pretty good show tonight. They got several cars in the top 10 tonight.
Dale Jarrett run out of gas, had to come to pit road, only got back to 15. Not enough laps.
15 cars finished on the lead lap, and only 3, make that 4 in the garage area at the end of the night.
One of those Kenny Wallace tried to get his lap back a long time. He ended up 40th.
Yeah, too bad.
Andy Houston had a great race car. He was involved in that wreck with Ward Burton, finishes 42nd.
Now Jarrett still leads the points, but his margin in 2 weeks has just been chopped down. Now it's only 14 points over Jeff Gordon. Rusty Wallace up to third, just 62 back. And look, the top 4 under 100 points between them.
That 20 car, he just keeps creeping up in those standings every week, up to 7.
Wow. I wouldn't mind having short track racing about every other week.
Well, I tell you, this was fun tonight, under the lights and a lot of excitement, which we knew it would be. Let's go down to see what the boys are doing down there in the old hotel. Old Catfish and his buddy.
All right, well, Darrell, Jeff's excited because he picked Tony Stewart
I'm happy
when the night started. So, and I thought we were going to have
right here with him.
I thought we were going to have a civil war here in Richmond between Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon, watching those two go on. But you thought the restart, I mean, you're just adding a little fuel to the fire when you have something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes down, you got 2 laps to go. Everything goes out the window, guys. It's time to get up on that wheel and get after it. Rusty Wallace went for the win. Hey, he got into him. It made him mad. But I'm sorry. I mean, he was going for the win. And that's the way it works here at short tracks. I mean, I'd have been upset if my driver hadn't made an effort like what Rusty did to get to, to go to the win.
All right, but fitting, the Pontiac Excitement 400 was exciting for Tony Stewart in a Pontiac and their first win of this NASCAR season. On FX next Saturday, of course, the Winston Cup drivers, Mother's Day weekend off for them. They get a break, but the Busch Series continues, and you'll see that from New Hampshire, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific on FX. Stick around. The Tough Man Finals are coming up next on FX. Tony's one of the tough guys, as he will announce tomorrow that he's going to drive in Indy for Chip Ganassi, as well as running the Coca-Cola 600 for his Home Depot crew. And a terrific run for Tony Stewart, as he has found victory lane in Richmond, and it is a long way to Richmond.